Chapter 229. It was a beautiful sunny day that seemed to fill even the darkest corners with sunshine. Hello everyone, this is Koki-chan. Koki-chan. She's actually streaming. I'm so excited. Koki-chan looks good today too. Yoshimi Tamamo looked at the comments floating past her. She swiped her card and walked out of Four Valley Station as she continued speaking. According to our agreement, I'll be streaming a beautiful graduation ceremony today. Don't worry everyone, I've already applied for permission from the school. When she reached the uphill road, the camphor trees on both sides were lush and green. Under the sunlight, it already felt like spring. This is the path I usually take to school. It's a bit tiring, but now it's all ready. As she spoke, someone greeted her. Wow, you're so beautiful. It was a female classmate. Wow, Yoshimi Tamamo ignored the comments in the video and chatted with her friends. F***ck. Listening to a female high school student's chat has already healed my soul. Kanagawa High School's graduation ceremony? Isn't that a high school with an extremely high enrollment rate? Newbie. My Koki-chan is a student from Kamigawa. What newbie? Koki-chan just started streaming half a month ago, right? We're all newbies. The seniors are graduating today. Yep, we chatted for a long time in the group chat of the blowing section yesterday. There are so many people in the blowing section. Did they have time to reply to the chat in the group chat? Not everyone chatted. You know, I don't get along with the guy in the saxophone section. Is it because of that incident? Those people are too strange. Don't you feel it? They're almost as annoying as Watanabe. By the way, speaking of Koen Watanabe, did you know that he's so beautiful? He'll represent the first grade on stage to read a farewell speech. Wretch, beautiful girl vomits. My mouth is already open. You guys are so disgusting. What? My mouth is actually open too. F***ck. F***ck. You guys are really too much. She's so beautiful. She's obviously the main makeup artist. Why do she have so many male fans? They walked up the slope and entered the campus. The oak tree was 25 meters tall. It would take some time for it to bloom, probably in April when school started. Change your shoes at the shoe cabinet. Pretty girls' feet. Pretty girls' feet. Pretty girls' feet. Guys, can you go and die? Stop harassing Coco, okay? Yoshimi Tamamo took some time to look at the bullet screen and couldn't help but say, why are they all perverts who like feet? So disgusting. Grass. Grass. Ha ha ha. The commenter above, could it be a remnant of the previous generation? Grass. Yoshimi Tamamo spun her phone around and introduced the layout of the corridor on the first floor. It's very normal. Everyone's high school should be the same. Shoe cabinet, vending machine, bread machine. No bread maker. Our school's shoe cabinet has no door. Our school doesn't have cocoa sauce. After a brief introduction, Yoshimi Tamamo waited for her friend to change her shoes before going upstairs with her. On the wall of the stairwell, there was a poster for the recruitment of the Minister of Fine Arts. In the four corners of the poster, there were drawings of cats, dogs, giraffes, and earthworms. On the third floor, they walked into Class 1. On the blackboard, the class monitor was writing today's schedule. Gather in front of the gymnasium at 9:40. Entrance at 9:50. Exit at 11:27. This was the time of the ordinary students. The members of the blowing department had other arrangements because of their tasks. Whoa, this kind of greeting was popular among the girls. Good morning, Kiyono classmate. Good morning, Tamamo classmate. Her voice is so nice. Why is she blocking the camera at this time? I want to look at her. Kiyono classmate, I think you should take the place of the first grade to read the farewell speech. Thank you, Watanabe classmate is the best in the country. Really, except for the grades, that guy is better than Kiyono classmate in every way. A lot. No way. They chatted until 9:15, when the members of the blowing department of Class 1 left the classroom together. I'm going to the blowing department next, Yoshimi Tamamo said to the people in the livestream room. I've been looking forward to it for a long time. Kamikawa Yukibu. The school that didn't even make it to the Tokyo University competition won the national gold medal last year. I've been wanting to visit it for a long time. I took the entrance exam for Kamigawa this year, but I didn't get in. Me too, there are a lot more people applying this year, and the admission process is stricter. Yoshimi Tamamo was chatting with the live stream room about last year's exam, when she suddenly saw Aoi Ichiki in front of her. "Hey," she shouted. "Yay." Aoi Ichiki jumped and turned around. Friendship between girls was shallow and fickle, but Yoshimi Tamamo thought that she and Aoi Ichiki were really good friends. "What are you doing?" Aoi Ichiki pointed at Yoshimi Tamamo's phone on her selfie stick. "Livestream." "Livestream?" Aoi Ichiki moved her face closer. "YouTube livestream." Yoshimi Tamamo also moved her face closer. The two of them fixed their hair in front of the camera. Compared to the comments, the girl cared more about her image. Too close, too close. "I'm so jealous of Coco-chan, her skin is so good." Many female YouTube hosts don't dare to get close to the screen even with their beauty filters on. Coco-chan didn't even put on any makeup. She's so beautiful. I can't tell that she's wearing makeup equals she's not wearing any makeup. Boys are all idiots. "Koei, did you hear that the representative of the first grade is Watanabe?" Of course, Watanabe-kun got first place in the country in this final exam. Humph. F***CK, how much does Coco-chan hate Kuren Watanabe? She's slandering him everywhere. Is he her ex-boyfriend? Was she cheated of her feelings? Coco-chan, he doesn't love you. I love you. I envy him too. I heard that he was the one who gave my a boutonniere. Are you serious? Why? I heard from my classmates in the news department that the school invited a reporter from the Asahi Shimbun to report on the graduation ceremony. They arranged it this way for publicity. Publicity. Yes, the Asahi Shimbun will pretend to introduce this year's graduation season and remind everyone of their youth. In the end, they will inadvertently write, Kanagawa High School's graduation ceremony. The girl on the left is the third place in the country. The one who gave her a boutonniere is a first-year student, and also the first place in the first grade. The world of adults is so fake. No wonder they chose Watanabe. Hey, even Senior Maya's. Oh no, I forgot that you're live streaming. Will you be in trouble if news about the school gets out? It's okay, I only have 2,000 fans. There are only 100 or so people who watch the live stream. Pitiful. Coco-chan, share more about your life. You'll become a great YouTube host. Let's do a photo shoot. I'll buy 100 copies. If there's a swimsuit, I'll buy 100 copies. I see. Oh right, I'm also a YouTube host. I mainly watch video game YouTube hosts. What's your name? I'll follow you. The Life of Coco-chan with the trombone. You plan to live stream for the rest of your life. How is that possible? Haven't you watched The Life of Pine Nut Who Was Despised? No. It's super good. Really? What's it about? Never give up hope in life. No matter how broken life is, you have to work hard to survive. Sounds interesting, right? How about coming to Haume's place after school today? I have a Blu-ray disc at home. Sure, do you want to buy one on the way? As they chatted, the two of them walked into the music department. There was another round of greetings. They were curious about Yoshimi Tamamo's livestream and joked with each other. Finally, when they talked about the seniors who were about to graduate, the atmosphere became sad again. Some of the more emotional girls even started crying. 9:25. Yoshimi Tamamo put her phone in her breast pocket and pointed the camera outside. Everyone took their instruments and entered the gymnasium in advance. The basketball court in the gymnasium was newly waxed, like a mirror. The words graduation ceremony were written on the screen on the stage. After sitting down, Yoshimi Tamamo put the trombone on her lap and took out her phone. The trombone and tuba sat at the back, next to the timpani. She stood up and aimed the camera at the entire gymnasium. Such a big gymnasium? It's comparable to 3 in our school. There's even a spot for the music department. When we graduated, because the gymnasium was too small, only 6 of the 50 people in the music department were in the gymnasium. Who cares about the gymnasium? I want to see the high school girls in the music department. Is the trumpet in front of the trombone? She looks so good from the side. At this time, people walked into the gymnasium one after another. Yoshimi Tamamo secretly aimed the camera at them. Male teachers in suits, female teachers in skirts. Male parents in suits or jackets, female parents in kimonos or skirts. The leaders sat on one side of the stage, the teachers sat on both sides of the basketball court, and the parents sat in the audience seats on the steps. That's our principal, that's the dean, that's the physical education teacher, we call him Oko-chan, and that's our class teacher, a super good art teacher. In addition to these people, there were also some middle-aged people who didn't look like parents. They were holding high-end cameras, probably the reporters from Asahi Shimbun who colluded with Kamigawa Private to write an article about the graduation season, but was actually promoting Kamigawa High School. It's about to start. It's so ceremonial. I'm thinking about graduation day again. Our school's graduation ceremony is in February. My confession failed. If there's a confession later, can Coco-chan broadcast it? A cute girl has appeared. I like this type. I also like the beautiful type. Cute is the only type you like, right? F*CK. Huh. Why is there a handsome guy? He's handsome. I'm jealous. Ah, so handsome. You girls are so disgusting. Can you not only look at the face, pay more attention to the talent? My Asahi, the graduation representative, and Toru Watanabe, the first grade representative, were also among the people who entered early. That guy is Watanabe, Yoshimi Tamamo whispered. He's a super scumbag. Don't talk nonsense, Oko-chan. The girl in the trumpet section turned around with a smile. If Kun Watanabe hears this, he'll scold us again. Speaking of scolding, I recently dreamed that Kun Watanabe scolded me. What did he scold you about? Why are you so cute? I fell in love with you. Let's get married. I said no, Kun Watanabe, you're not 18 yet. Please wait until that day to propose to me. It's really a dream. I think it's just her delusion. It's not a dream. Ah, so annoying. You guys actually guessed it. I've already thought about your plot 10 times in my mind the first time I saw Kun Watanabe. 10 times? You're amazing, Yuseong. What's this about? I heard that Chien Chienzi from the art department drew a girl's manga based on Kun Watanabe. It's already published by Housewife and Life. Housewife and Life. It's not what you think. It's a publishing house mainly. The girls rambled on. Toru Watanabe and my Asahi seats were close to the stage, so it was convenient for them to go up and speak later. After chatting for a while, at 9:50, the first and second years began to enter the venue. When they were seated, it was time for the third years. Everyone, let's begin. Kaoru Hayami did not take the bassoon. She was in charge today. Yoshimi Tamamo put her phone back into her pocket, revealing only the camera. She picked up the trombone on her lap. As Kaoru Hayami waved her baton, a solemn symphony slowly played. Amidst the music, the third years were divided into two groups and entered the venue in an orderly manner. At the entrance, they would bow to the teachers, parents, and juniors in the stadium. Then they would walk through the long corridor formed by the juniors and come to the front of the square formation. Ah, I can't see anything. The trombone's position is too disadvantageous. I'm satisfied just by looking at his back. I want to see that handsome guy just now. It's okay. He'll go up and speak later. You'll definitely see it. Everyone sat down, and the music took a break. The dean presided over the graduation process. Parents, everyone. After the long opening speech, he said, next, let's invite the representative of the first years, Toru Watanabe, to speak on stage. In the stadium, compared to the parents in the audience, the applause of the students was especially enthusiastic, especially the girls. Some parents guessed that the children had had enough of the dean's speech. Some parents guessed that this Toru Watanabe was very popular. There were also parents who guessed that the children just wanted to use the applause to make the graduation stage even grander. Following the children's gazes, a student near the stage stood up. He was slightly taller than the average male high school student and walked confidently. His footsteps were clearly not fast, but they seemed to carry the wind. His back was straight, and his eyes were looking straight ahead. Occasionally he would look around. It was like a bright ray of sunlight piercing through the dark clouds. A person like him was obviously very smart. At first glance, one could tell that a person like him was a person without any flaws. A person like him was obviously a sincere person. In addition, there was also a strong sense of confidence. He believed that he was the most outstanding young man, believed in his own talent, and believed that he could have the whole world in the future. He was such a confident person. Just as everyone was amazed by this young man's temperament, and their eyes were infatuated with his handsomeness, a beautiful female teacher suddenly walked over and stopped him. Everyone looked over curiously. The female teacher said this to the youth in a low voice. At the same time, she quickly buttoned up his open school uniform. After that, the female teacher bowed apologetically to everyone around her, and quickly walked back to her seat. The second-year students who were close to them burst into laughter. Kun Watanabe also has times when he's muddle-headed. The music department was also discussing that scene in a low voice. He likes to unbutton his school uniform. Forget about it in the summer. In the winter, it's obvious that he's just acting cool. Yoshimi Tamamo insisted on her position of Watanabe. But whether Kun Watanabe buttons his school uniform or not, he's still handsome. I agree. I agree too. It's just that his style is different. Is there something wrong with your eyes? My dear Michan, why do you keep talking bad about Kun Watanabe? Is there a conflict? You're the strange ones. Have you forgotten that he scolded us? Yoshimi Tamamo couldn't understand these people. Kun Watanabe walked to the podium. I'm the first-year representative, Toru Watanabe. His clear and melodious voice was transmitted to everyone's ears through the loudspeaker. The gymnasium quieted down. Plants sprouting, oaks blooming, warm winds blowing from the sea. There wasn't much emotion in his voice, but it made people feel sad. Just hearing the words oaks blooming made Aoi Ichiki's heart ache. She looked at her senior Mai, who was looking at the stage. After today, no matter how many times she came to school, she would never hear the beautiful sound of her senior playing the bass horn from the corridor. She would never be by her side again. She would never play the bass horn by her side again. Next, let's welcome third-year representative, Mai Asahi, to the stage. Hearing this voice, Aoi Ichiki came back to her senses. Only then did she realize that her eyes were blurred by tears. She couldn't see the farewell party in front of her clearly. She quickly wiped away her tears. She wasn't the only one. Many people in the trumpet department were crying. Perhaps they were also reluctant to part with Mai Asahi. Perhaps they were reluctant to part with the head of the department, Misaki Komatsu. Perhaps the saxophone department was reluctant to part with senior Gong Yuan. Everyone had their own treasures. On the stage, the first-year representative put cherry blossoms on the third-year graduates. Hello everyone, I'm the third-year representative Mai Asahi. After the speech, the dean said into the microphone, "Graduates, stand up." The third-year students stood up. Everyone looked at them. Sing the school song. The trumpet department played music. The third-year students sang the last Kamigawa school song. The hills of the four valleys, the school building that the crow flies over, our alma mater, Kamigawa. This was the school song. When school started, it was the welcome song. During the competition, it was the song of glory. Now, it was the song of farewell. It wandered in the vast and enclosed space of the gymnasium. Chapter 230. Kanagawa High School's 56th graduation ceremony has come to an end. Everyone stand up. Teachers, parents, first and second years, and the school leaders on the stage all stood up. Only the third-year graduates were still sitting. Third years leave. The dean's slightly hoarse voice ignited the emotions of parting. First, it was year 3 class 4. They stood up and bowed to everyone. The homeroom teacher of third-year class 4 walked in front, and the graduates of third-year class 4 followed behind. When they took a step forward, everyone subconsciously clapped, and the music section played the melody of Kamigawa school song. Onsuan Senpai, a girl in the second-year team, suddenly shouted. In third-year class 4, a girl with a ponytail waved her hand in that direction. Katsuda Senpai. In the first-year team, a boy with a buzz cut roared. Do your best in next year's competition. In third year class 4, a boy with a buzz cut waved his fist vigorously. Like the first 2 drops of rain falling in a rainstorm, the rain fell to the ground with a pitter-patter. Senpai, Yamamoto senpai, Naomi senpai, at the exit of the gymnasium, as third year class 4 was about to pass by and disappear, many balloons suddenly fell down. The third years, who were originally calm and had agreed to leave handsomely, now covered their eyes with their hands. After the graduation ceremony, everyone spent time in the atrium. They took photos with their parents, with their juniors, and chatted about where to go later. Toru Watanabe avoided the crowd and stood alone under a beech tree, watching everyone immersed in the noisy and uneasy atmosphere of parting. The scene in front of him was like the Titanic about to set sail at the port of Southampton. Excitement, happiness, sadness, and confusion. Keisuke Saito went to the computer research department for a parting meeting. Osamu Kanai. 1, 2, 3. He and the buzz-cut boys in the sports club threw the third-year seniors into the air one by one. Toru Watanabe didn't have any seniors who were about to graduate, nor did he have any parting meeting to attend. He thought of Shimizawa village, which was 400 kilometers away. The sky darkened and dyed orange mountain ridges, a puppy chasing a wild rabbit in a field of grass. On the way home from school, Xiaolian was walking along the canal, trying to maintain her balance. There was also the huge white windmill. It had already been a year since he came to Tokyo, filled with longing for the metropolis, through the county lines, mountains, and tunnels. After calming himself down, Toru Watanabe began looking for Rin Kiyono. The two of them agreed to look for a flower shop today. If it was really a flower shop that bought directly from Datian Flower Market, and to ensure that the other party would send the best roses, he would need the help of the lie detector machine. He walked towards the club building and went straight up to the 5th floor. In the human observation department, Rin Kiyono was sitting by the window. The spring light shone through the window and painted a soft halo on the outline of her body. Her long black hair swayed gently in the wind that blew in from outside the window. This familiar, ordinary, and heartwarming scene. There will be a day when I won't be able to see it, right? Today, 2 years later. Rin Kiyono looked up when she heard the door open. Too slow. His tone was stern. Toru Watanabe laughed, breaking away from the atmosphere of parting everywhere in the school. I looked twice when I came here, he said. Whose legs were you looking at? Rin Kiyono closed her book and put it in her backpack. Why must I look at your legs? No. Watanabe-san, there are times when you don't look at your legs. What's with that surprised expression of yours? I remember telling you before that I don't think about that kind of thing all day long. I also remember telling you before that humans don't stay the same. With how perverted you are, I think it's almost time for you to think about that kind of thing all day long. Are you showing off your memory? Rin Kiyono picked up her backpack and walked out of the club classroom. Toru Watanabe followed behind. I don't know how you came to that conclusion. She sighed and said contemptuously. But judging from your tone, you seem to think that your memory is better than mine. After locking the club classroom, the two of them walked side by side in the deserted corridor. The sound of indoor shoes rubbing against each other drowned out the noise outside the corridor. Toru Watanabe didn't answer and recited directly. By the corridor of the celebrities' room, there are clusters of 8 immortal flowers blooming. Please. Today the big black phoenix butterfly also landed on these flowers, its bright figure reflected in the spring water. On the pergola under the eaves, the wisteria branches are luxuriant. Rin Kiyono recited it easily without any pause or thought. It was her turn to ask the question. The ending of the 8 flags temporary sacrificial ceremony is really boring. Why not be like the Kumo ritual? Without waiting for her to finish, Toru Watanabe opened his mouth. When the emperor heard it, he said, "Then when I come back tomorrow, I'll call for another dance." The two of them recited the ancient capital and pillow grass one after another as they walked down the stairs. When they reached the 2nd floor, they met a large group of people from the Blowing Club. They invited the two of them to participate in the Blowing Club's farewell party, but the two of them declined. They stood aside and let the people from the Blowing Club go first. When they passed by each other, Toru Watanabe and Masahi's eyes met. She was holding a long tube with a graduation certificate in her hand. Aoyachiki was beside her, and begged her to give her the second button on her chest. Senpai, give it to me. I don't want to ruin my clothes. Senpai. Imu, do your best. Perform well later, maybe Senpai Mai will give it to you. The people from the Blowing Club who knew the inside story and didn't know the inside story all made fun of Aoyachiki and cheered her on. Rin Kiyono looked at this scene coldly, as if they were modern young people who weren't interested in kabuki. After leaving Kamigawa, the two of them walked in the direction of Fur Valley's 3 sects. Along the way, there were many flower shops. It was noon, and the sun was shining brightly on the green leafy road. Through the gaps between the leaves, the sunlight sifted through and flashed past. The two of them walked on such a shady road. After walking for 10 minutes, Toru Watanabe took off his suit jacket and put it on his shoulder. He looked handsome again. Rin Kiyono looked at him. This temperature was just right for her. The two girls walking in front of them were wearing Kanagawa High School's uniform. Looking at the color of their ties, they were first-year students. The two of them were holding balloons in their hands, which should have been picked up at the graduation ceremony. They looked at 3 flower shops, but none of them agreed with the request. Either they didn't directly buy from Dada Flower Market, or they didn't intend to abide by the agreement and send the best roses in the shop. They just took a random one. When they passed by a Chinese restaurant called Fragrant Food Pavilion, Toru Watanabe proposed to rest for a while and eat something. They ordered dumplings, chicken with saliva, and mapo tofu. After eating, when it was time to pay the bill, Rin Kiyono took out her wallet and was about to split the bill, but Toru Watanabe stopped her. At this time, how can I let you spend money? Do as you wish. Rin Kiyono put away her wallet. Toru Watanabe took out his wallet and looked at it. Aha, Kiyono classmate. What's the matter? Can I borrow some money from you? The waiter standing there looked at Toru Watanabe with a different expression. Rin Kiyono took out her wallet again, and took out 2,000 yuan notes, and handed it to the waiter. Outside the shop, Toru Watanabe said, "Are-san, Miss Kiyono, before school starts, please leave a day for me, I'll treat you to a meal. Remember to bring enough money when the time comes. I swear to the sun." After eating lunch, they walked a few steps and saw a park. "Let's sit down and rest for a while," Rin Kiyono said. Okay. The two of them turned into this park called San Rong. In the sand pit, there were several children playing. Next to them, several young mothers were chatting and enjoying the warmth of the sun. Toru Watanabe and Rin Kiyono leisurely strolled in the San Rong Park, and finally sat down on a bench to rest. The cherry blossom tree above their heads had already bloomed with pink flowers, and its shadow swayed at their feet. 2 benches away, a white-collar woman in overalls was eating lunch alone, and all the pigeons in the park were gathered at her feet. "Is it lonely to eat alone?" Toru Watanabe said. "I'm used to it and I don't like to eat with others," Rin Kiyono replied. The two of them were silent for a while, watching the white-collar woman feed the pigeons bread. "If we go back to the day of the fireworks in Jinggang Stadium, I will definitely take you in, or stay with Mickey. Are you sympathizing with me?" Rin Kiyono turned to look at him. "Eating noodles and watching fireworks alone is not uncomfortable for me." "It's not uncomfortable, it's not uncomfortable," Toru Watanabe replied. "At that time, how could I be assured to leave such a beautiful person like you alone there? It was too dangerous." Rin Kiyono looked at him with some surprise. What he said was true. "Your sense of worry is too exaggerated. It can even be said to be groundless." Toru Watanabe nodded, as if he didn't hear her words, and just answered perfunctorily. "It's too exaggerated." The pink cherry blossom petals were scattered at their feet. The smell of food rushed to the tip of their nose. The wind blew through the cherry blossoms, and the children ran happily in front of them. The world was peaceful. It was noon, not far from the cherry blossoms in full bloom. Leaving the park, the two of them finally found a suitable flower shop called Rose Bond. There were all kinds of flowers in front of the shop. In season, there were all kinds of tulips, white daffodils, carnations, white lilies, and out-of-season sunflowers and pansies. Most of them were roses red, purple, black, blue, white, yellow, pink, and orange red. It was full of the colorful fragrance of flowers. "What do you need?" The female shop assistant was in her early 30s, with the appearance of a flower shop owner. Did you buy the roses here from Daeteon Flower Market? Toru Watanabe asked. All the flowers here are from Daeteon Flower Market. The female shop assistant gently nodded. Every day at 4 o'clock in the morning, we buy them from Daeteon Flower Market. Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono. Rin Kiyono nodded. The female shop assistant looked at the two of them and recommended. For White Valentine's Day, I recommend purple roses, representing romantic true feelings and precious uniqueness. Toru Watanabe smiled at Rin Kiyono and said, Romantic true feelings? Rin Kiyono gave him a blank look. It's not a Valentine's Day gift. Toru Watanabe woke up the absent-minded female shop assistant. It's used to decorate the activity classroom. The female shop assistant looked embarrassed because of her own absent-mindedness. Well, for decoration, I recommend dried flowers. They won't wither for at least half a year. No, fresh flowers are fine. Toru Watanabe interrupted her. Also, it must be the best roses in the shop. Our shop specializes in high-quality roses. There's no problem at all. The female shop assistant said. Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono. Rin Kiyono nodded. I don't want it today. Can I make a reservation? Toru Watanabe asked the female shop assistant again. Of course, may I ask if it's tomorrow or another day? Not tomorrow, not any other day. It's every day in the future. At this point, Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono again. She pondered for a moment and said, 2 years until we graduate. Toru Watanabe turned to the florist and said, 2 years every day, If the florist is on vacation, or there's an unavoidable reason, such as illness or earthquake, you don't have to send. Every day? 2 years. Can't I? Of course you can. Although she had never received such an order, it was fine as long as she could make money. The female shop assistant quickly took out a pen and paper from her apron. What's the address? Are the flowers sent every day the same? And the packaging, what style should I choose? The address is Shinano-cho **** 502. 1 No, 2 of the most beautiful roses in the shop that day. Any color is fine. For the packaging, use newspaper, something simple is fine. Sir, the female shop assistant said in a measured tone. If it's 2 years, the deposit will be very expensive. Toru Watanabe took out his wallet and took out his bank card with an unknown amount. I'll give you another address. Please send a bouquet of roses every day. He said. If someone doesn't let you in, just say that it's from Toru Watanabe. Okay, the female shop assistant replied. 3 roses? Starting from today, March 20th, until March 20th, 2 years later, every day? Yes. Can I pay the deposit once a month? That's too troublesome. Let's do it once every 2 years. I can also pay the money first. Toru Watanabe had money, so he was not afraid that the other party would deny it. The confirmation process was very fast. The florist went to get the receipt, and the two of them left the florist and stood at the door to admire the flowers. The interior of the florist was slightly cold, but the outside was filled with beautiful sunshine. What flowers are these? Toru Watanabe looked at the clusters of small purple flowers, which were blooming very lively. Don't forget me. With my memory, you don't have to worry about this at all. I said the name of the flowers. I see. There should be a limit to pretending to be stupid. Before Rin Kiyono finished speaking, a gust of wind blew from afar, passing through the sea of flowers and caressing her beautiful long hair. The flowers are admiring you. If they have a consciousness, it's natural for them to admire me. Rin Kiyono tidied up her hair that was blown to the side of her mouth. The flowers are admiring you, but I'm admiring the flowers. What does that mean? Toru Watanabe asked. What does that mean? Yuyuma did not answer, and instead asked a question of his own. It means that I don't have good taste. I'm admiring the beautiful woman who has flowers by her side, but I'm admiring the flowers. Rin Kiyono looked at him. Are you like this to everyone? Of course not. I think I've only said such mushy words to you. What about Miki Kujo? To her? I usually say, mine, my Miki, I love you, I love you, I love you to death. Rin Kiyono showed an extremely disgusted expression. I can't believe she can accept it. She seemed to be really disgusted. I'm so happy to hear it. I didn't know she was this kind of person before. Rin Kiyono couldn't imagine it. Everyone will change, let alone a girl in love. I just swore to forget me not that one day, when the person Kiyono, classmate like says to you, mine my Rin, I love you, I love you, I love you to death. You'll be very happy. Rin Kiyono put her hand on her chin and lowered her head, as if she was thinking about something. 10 seconds later, she raised her head and said, it's still disgusting. I don't feel high. At this point, her soft cherry lips trembled, but she couldn't say another word. Their eyes met, and they hurriedly looked away. Rin Kiyono stared at the big Persian chrysanthemum on the right side of the door, while Toru Watanabe studied the clock flower on the left side. Sir, sorry to keep you waiting. The salesgirl finally came over. Toru Watanabe put the receipt in his wallet, and the two left the flower shop, finally calming down. Chapter 231. There have been a lot of foreigners recently. Do you want me to send you back? The marathon is about to start. Maybe it's because of that. Leaving the flower shop, the two of them walked on the path to Rin Kiyono's apartment. Marathon? Toru Watanabe was puzzled. The Tokyo Marathon, one of the 6 major world marathon events. After explaining, Rin Kiyono turned to look at him. You don't even know this? A breeze blew, her black hair hanging down from her face, blending with the spring breeze. No wonder there have been more people running in the morning recently. Toru Watanabe nodded. He suddenly remembered something. Kiyono-san, do you know how many meters a circle around the outer court of the shrine is? I don't know. You don't even know this? I thought you knew everything. Toru Watanabe sighed, revealing a sense of pride and ridicule. Watanabe-san. Rin Kiyono's voice was like the spring water that had just thawed, cold and crisp. Do you know Chris Podi? Do you know Marsalis Podi? Do you know the 4th movement of Dvorak's Symphony No. 9? I don't like your trumpet, I only like your legs. By the way, when can you let me touch you, Razor-san? Rin Kiyono laughed. If that smile had to be described, there was only one word to describe it: cruel. The so-called cruel and vicious, mutilating or abusing someone. Watanabe-san, if you want to be stepped on, I can satisfy you at any time. Toru Watanabe took 2 steps back, and put on a serious attitude of refusal. I don't want to play with you, I just want to touch you. Rin Kiyono glared at him fiercely. Toru Watanabe looked at her lovely face. She didn't seem to be angry. By now, Rin Kiyono had unknowingly become accustomed to his jokes about legs. However, when she thought about it carefully, it seemed that he only made peachy jokes about Rin Kiyono. After sending Rin Kiyono back, Toru Watanabe returned to Shinanko. After resting for a while, just as he was thinking about how to pass the time, Keisuke Saito invited him and Osamu Kunai to go fishing at the station tomorrow. Recommend a shop to buy fishing gear. Both Kanda and Nakano have streets dedicated to fishing gear. While chatting in the group, Toru Watanabe changed into his regular clothes and prepared to go to Shuntian to buy fishing gear and stroll around the bookstore. He walked into the elevator and pressed the button for the first floor. Tomorrow Kunai and I will go by bicycle. I don't have a bicycle. Oh right, why don't the 3 of us take advantage of the spring break to take the motorcycle driving test? I have no problem with that. What's the point of learning motorcycles? It was too dangerous. Then Toru Watanabe and Osamu Kunai tried to persuade Keisuke Saito to go with them to learn how to ride a motorcycle. Unknowingly, the elevator reached the first floor. He walked with his head down while typing. When he got out of the car, he caught a glimpse of a familiar lower body. Toru Watanabe looked up. It was a middle-aged female elite wearing a suit. Beside her, there was a young girl. He continued to type with his head down. Suddenly, he realized something was wrong. He looked up again. Then he quickly turned around. At the last moment, he blocked the elevator door that was about to close and walked into the elevator that just went out. After pressing the button for the 5th floor, he stood behind the middle-aged female elite and the young girl. This was the first time Toru Watanabe and Masahi met in the Shinanko apartment. At that time, Toru Watanabe was going to Shentian to buy fishing gear. Masahi and her mother came to arrange the furniture. The two people bumped into each other at the elevator on the first floor. He walked out and she walked in. Before the elevator door closed, there was an ear-piercing sound of a sports car accelerator outside the apartment. I'm sorry about today. Rihanna is also graduating. Mai's mother's tone was a little apologetic. It's okay. Mai's mother nodded and did not say anything. She stared at the constantly changing floor number. In the blurry reflection of the elevator, Masahi and Toru Watanabe, who was behind her, looked at each other. Since he hurriedly followed her into the elevator, her heart was filled with an indescribable happiness. She took out her phone and sent Toru Watanabe an arrow in the body, surrounded by hearts emoji. Then, in the reflection of the elevator wall, she saw Toru Watanabe finish reading the message. Then, he closed his eyes and put his right hand on his heart. Masahi's mouth unconsciously raised into a shallow smile. Her eyes were like a clear summer stream. It was very beautiful. Che, where are you going? I'll look for you after my mother leaves. I'm not going anywhere. I'll wait for you. Room 602. Are you in a good mood today? Mai's mother suddenly asked. I'm living alone. Masahi replied. Mai's mother's eyes twinkled. She raised her hand as if she wanted to pat her daughter's head. But in the end she gave up. You have to live well even if you're alone. She sighed and said. Okay. When the elevator reached the 5th floor, Toru Watanabe returned to his room. He threw himself on the sofa and looked at the ceiling. Masahi's room was 602. It was above 502. At this moment, she might be walking over his head. If the ceiling was transparent, he would be able to see the beautiful world under her pleated skirt. Thinking of this, Toru Watanabe's mind naturally recalled the night he spent with Masahi. After sitting on the sofa for less than a minute, he couldn't help but stand up. He walked around the living room and finally came to the balcony. Under the afternoon sun, every leaf in the forest outside the Divine Palace reflected the light, like a sparkling sea. 20 minutes later, Masahi sent a message. Toru Watanabe got into the elevator to the 6th floor. When the elevator door closed, he thought that he should have taken the time to take a shower. Almost as soon as he pressed the doorbell, the door opened. Before Toru Watanabe could see clearly, Masahi threw herself at him. In the corridor, the two hugged each other tightly. Perhaps to tidy up the furniture, Masahi took off her school jacket. Her white shirt was tucked into her pleated skirt. Toru Watanabe hugged her slender waist through the thin shirt. Their breathing began to quicken. Their faces were so close that their cheeks were slightly sunken. Toru Watanabe carried her and walked into room 602. After entering the room, Toru Watanabe no longer had any scruples. His lips found Masahi's lips. His hands slid down and kneaded her plump buttocks through her pleated skirt. When their lips parted, Toru Watanabe took a deep breath. Only then could he control the impulse in his heart. However, the other participant in this game, Masahi, had no intention of restraining herself. She kissed Toru Watanabe's hair, forehead, eyebrows, eyes, Che. Over and over again, Masahi called out her lover's name. Toru Watanabe couldn't hold back anymore. He reached out and pulled her white shirt out of her skirt. His palms were pressed against her slightly sunken spine. He slid them all the way to the button of her bra. At this point, his hands separated into two sides. Each of them followed a belt and headed toward the mountain until they reached the peak. At the entrance, her clothes were still on. Once, on the sofa, her shirt was unbuttoned. Once, on the bed in the bedroom, only her pleated skirt was left. Finally, Masahi was barely breathing. The two of them hugged each other and stopped. The room was quiet. Outside the window, the occasional bird perched in the outer garden of the shrine flapped its wings as it flew past the window. From tomorrow onwards, will we be staying here? Toru Watanabe asked softly in Masahi's ear. Yes. A day, a month, a year. How should we arrange our time when we suddenly have more time? Yes, Che. Then in the morning, we'll go to the outer garden. You practice the oboe and I'll run. During the day, I'll hold you in my arms and we'll play games together. At night, we'll have dinner, go for a walk and watch a movie. Later, Toru Watanabe hugged Masahi tighter. I'm going to torture you all night long. That's great. Masahi pressed her face against his neck longingly. The two of them checked each other's breathing and body temperature. When the sky was completely dark, Toru Watanabe patted Masahi's back. Get up. Masahi did not speak. She just moved her body and completely pressed Toru Watanabe's body. She wrapped her arms tightly around his neck. Her actions seemed to be saying, "You're not going anywhere. Let's go for dinner," Toru Watanabe said with a smile. Masahi's head, which was buried in his collarbone, shook. The hair on top of her head tickled Toru Watanabe's face. When you're full, you'll have the strength to continue at night. He lowered his voice and whispered, "It's our first time spending the night together. I won't be merciful. Are you ready?" Masahi propped up her upper body with a whoosh and looked down at Toru Watanabe. Her soft long hair formed a waterfall between the two of them. Looking at her clear eyes that didn't blink, Toru Watanabe couldn't help but ask, "What's wrong?" "I'm happy." After saying that, she got out of bed and walked naked into the bathroom in the bedroom. Toru Watanabe watched her go in. Hearing the sound of water, he couldn't wait to go in immediately and unlock a new scene. Although his body allowed him to be unscrupulous, he still held back. Out of laziness, Toru Watanabe still lay in bed for a while. He waited for Masahi to finish bathing before he went in to take a shower. When he got out of bed, he threw the pillow that had fallen to the ground back onto the bed. By the time he came out of the shower, Masahi had already changed into her regular clothes. She wore a light pink sweater with a high loose collar, a white high-waisted dress, and a short white down jacket, which made her look cute and fashionable. When Toru Watanabe picked up the clothes on the ground and put them on, she walked over with her school uniform. "Che, I'll give you the button. Don't pull it off." Toru Watanabe put on his pants and said, "Take good care of the school uniform. In the future, I'll let you wear it for me from time to time. Do you understand what I mean?" "I'll keep my figure." Masahi looked expectant. After Toru Watanabe put on his clothes, the two of them left the apartment. They had originally planned to go to Shintian, but if Masahi went with them, they could only change their route and go to Nakano. When they went downstairs, they didn't meet Aono Koizumi and the others. Toru Watanabe wanted to find an opportunity to tell Aono Koizumi about Masahi. In any case, she would definitely keep it a secret for him. As for Huangzi and Miyazaki Miyuki, he was still hesitating. But living in the same apartment, it should be very difficult to hide it from them who were keen and gossipy. When they went downstairs, Toru Watanabe called a taxi. In the car, Masahi held Toru Watanabe's arm and leaned her body on him. Doing this outside was a very dangerous thing, but Toru Watanabe didn't say anything. In terms of who he loved more, there was no doubt that it was Miki. If Masahi didn't want to be with him even if she had to die, he wouldn't do anything to let Miki down. But now that things had come to this, it didn't matter. Since they were already together, he had to treat them well and never get involved with other girls. "Senpai, can I ask you a question?" "Yes." "Why do you like me? Is there a girl who doesn't like Toru?" Aoichiki and Yoshimi Tamamo. Masahi raised her face and looked at Toru Watanabe's handsome and lazy face. Even if someone doesn't like Toru or doesn't like you at first, as long as Toru takes the initiative to approach her, she will definitely like you. Toru is special. She lowered her head again and put her face on Toru Watanabe's arm. "Since I was young, I have never cared about anyone, only Toru. I want to be with you. No matter what, I want to be with you. In my life, I only want Toru." Toru Watanabe had been holding, touching, and pinching Asami's small hand, hoping to give her a sense of security through this action, telling her that he was here. After eating French food in Nakano District, he accompanied Asami Mai around the mall and bought some spring clothes for each of them. He wanted to watch a movie, but Masahi said, "Toru, don't waste time. To me, being with you is the happiest thing." Toru Watanabe could only satisfy her. They took a taxi back to the apartment and started kissing in the elevator. After entering apartment 602, Toru Watanabe closed the door. My Asahi moved closer with her mouth slightly open again. Toru Watanabe threw away the shopping bag in his hand, picked her up and put her on the shoe cabinet at the entrance. During the short break, my Asahi lay on the bed and Toru Watanabe lay on her back. Their fingers and bodies were tightly intertwined. Senior, are you very close to your mother? Yes. Can you tell me about it? My parents are divorced. They have their own families and children. I live at my father's house for a while and at my mother's house for a while. My Asahi closed her eyes to rest. Her tone was calm and did not show any sadness. Toru Watanabe did not say anything. He was thinking about my Asahi's expression when she saw her parents doting on her new child. Indifferent? How would she feel in her heart? He thought of that night in Kyoto. My Asahi was strangled by him. My Asahi persuaded him to use succinine. At that time, she was redundant in her family. The person she liked did not want her and wanted to kill her. How pitiful. Why did she give me such a fate? Did she ask this question in tears late at night under that expressionless appearance? Senior. Yes. If you don't like it, it's okay to leave your parents. I'll take care of you in the future. My Asahi opened her eyes and stared at Toru Watanabe's hand that was entangled with hers. Toru did something wrong to his girlfriend because of me. I'm already very satisfied. As for money, I'll work hard and support myself with music in the future. Toru Watanabe's face was pressed against my Asahi's smooth and delicate back. I have my own money. I'll buy this apartment for you tomorrow and give you half of my money. No need. I have to give it to you. Toru Watanabe's tone was firm. You made me do something wrong to Miki, but I also made you my lover. You can't be with the person you like openly. Without Toru, no matter how much money you give me, it's useless to me. Even if you don't feel at ease after taking the money, I still hope you can accept it. Toru Watanabe buried his face in her long hair. I'm not giving you money to make up for my guilt, nor to make it convenient for me to break up with you in the future. I hope that from now on, you can work hard or not. You can learn music or not. I want you to be happy. Listen to me. My Asahi raised Toru Watanabe's hand and put it on her red and slightly sweaty cheeks. Yes, I'll listen to you. Senior, I won't leave you. In the future, the two of us will be family. My Asahi pretended to turn around. Toru Watanabe got up and moved aside. Their tightly clasped bodies separated. Toru Watanabe was a little surprised. From the moment they came back, my Asahi didn't want him to leave her body, even if it was to get out of bed to drink water. What was going on now? My Asahi tilted her head and stared at him. After hesitating for a while, she said, "The child's father?" Toru Watanabe couldn't help but laugh. "We don't have children yet. Isn't it too early to call him that?" My Asahi turned around and sat on Toru Watanabe. "Have one now," she said. "For this kind of thing, at least wait until you graduate from university, right?" Toru Watanabe held her slender waist. "I'm not going to university. The point is, I'm only in my second year of high school. Drop out too. My mother and Kei-san will beat me to death." "Oh." My Asahi's flat tone revealed faint dissatisfaction and disappointment. Such childishness and such desperate true feelings made Toru Watanabe unable to control the impulse he had been suppressing. My Asahi raised her snow-white neck and made a sound like crying. The night was still long, and the future was still long. But for them, every minute and second was worth cherishing, because there was already happiness in life. Chapter 232. On the first day of spring break, Shinjuku was shining as far as the eye could see. Early in the morning, Toru Watanabe and my Asahi came to the tree-lined outer court of the shrine. "I'm going for a run." "Okay." My Asahi watched Toru Watanabe walk away. Because she hadn't bought an oboe yet, she still practiced playing the bass today. Toru Watanabe stretched his body and walked to the area where he usually ran. There was a black man in short-sleeved shirts and shorts who seemed to be ready to test his running speed. 100 meters ahead, a man in a sportswear jacket held a stopwatch in his hand and was ready to give orders. Toru Watanabe also walked over and stood in a position where he wouldn't affect the other person. The black man, who might be a mixed race after walking closer, didn't pay attention to Toru Watanabe and focused on his preparation. When the man with the stopwatch waved his hand, he rushed out with a whoosh. At first, he shook off his arm and ran with his head down, but the figure beside him who was on par with him forced him to divert his attention. It was a very handsome young man whom he had never seen before. A track and field athlete who hadn't shown his talent yet? The muscles on his face flew, and he sped up with all his might. However, not only did he fail to shake off the man, but he was also overtaken. The distance of 100 meters was over before he could feel it. Because of the acceleration, the two rushed out for a distance before stopping. Do you need to run so fast for a marathon? The man muttered to himself in Icelandic and jogged away. Fei Niao, the team member who was doing morning exercises together, came over. 21 seconds, not bad. How many seconds did that man take? The mixed-race black man spoke in Icelandic. The team member was stunned. What man? The man who ran with me just now. I didn't pay attention. What's wrong? Fei Niao wiped her sweat and looked at the man's disappearing back. Do you have photos of the athletes who participated in the 2020 Olympics? If I check, there should be. What's wrong? Nothing, Fei Niao said. I don't like the outer court of the shrine. Let's go to the outer court of the Kokyo tomorrow. This is only the first day? Forget it, I don't care. It's just morning exercise anyway. Toru Watanabe ran all the way here and saw many black people. His tan skin, defined muscles, and determined and focused eyes made him look like a professional runner who had been practicing for a long time. There was a black man who was fast and steady. Just by looking at his running posture, one could tell that he was not an ordinary person. Toru Watanabe caught up with him and ran alongside him, learning the pace of a professional athlete. The black man looked at him and introduced himself in English. Lilisa. Watanabe. Toru Watanabe replied. The two of them stopped talking and ran silently in the outer courtyard of the Divine Palace at the same pace. There were rows of ginkgo trees lining the road. The wind blew the leaves and brushed their hair. As he ran, a girl with a good figure appeared in front of him. Toru Watanabe had been running here for a long time, but he had never seen this person before. It seemed that he was a marathon winner and had just started training recently. The black man named Relisa gave Toru Watanabe a look, and the two slowed down at the same time. Unfortunately, after one lap, the woman who did not exercise often was so tired that she started to walk. The two of them could only speed up. After running 5 laps, Toru Watanabe was ready to leave. He said to Relisa, "Go for the marathon." Relisa did not stop and only gave him a thumbs up. Toru Watanabe walked slowly. After a while, he heard the distant and moving sound of Masahi's bass horn. The two of them walked back together. In the inbox on the first floor, Toru Watanabe took out the 2 red roses that had just been sent. For the person who loves me. He handed one to Masahi. Thank you. Masahi reached out and took the flowers. The two of them walked into the elevator, and Toru Watanabe pressed the 5th and 6th floors. I'll go back to take a shower and change clothes. I can sleep for a while. I'll go with Toru. Sensei Koizumi and the others live next door. Toru Watanabe said with a smile. Sensei, you've chosen a good place for a student and a teacher to be neighbors. Then let's change apartments. That's too obvious. When there's a chance, I'll introduce you to Sensei Koizumi. Masahi tilted her head slightly. Is it okay? It's okay. In their eyes, I'm not a good person anyway. Masahi nodded slightly. I'll be a bad person with Toru. If possible, I think we should try to be good people. Without saying more than 10 words, the elevator reached the 5th floor. Masahi's clear eyes watched Toru Watanabe walk out of the elevator without blinking. See you later. Toru Watanabe waited for the elevator door to close. After taking a shower and drying his hair, he noticed the roses on the table. Toru Watanabe took a photo with his phone and sent it to Rin Kiyono. Got it. Very cold. I like it. Toru Watanabe put down his phone. The doorbell rang. He went straight to the door and opened it. Watanabe, are you done with your morning exercise? Good morning, Sensei Koizumi. Good morning. Aona Koizumi couldn't control her gaze. She glanced at Toru Watanabe's strong chest, the waistline on his lower abdomen, and the Apollo's belt on his pelvis. What's the matter? Toru Watanabe regretted not wearing clothes and pretended not to notice her gaze. I'm afraid you won't eat when you're on vacation, so I came to call you for breakfast. Aona Koizumi stared at Toru Watanabe's face to control herself. But just like how she couldn't look directly at Rin Kiyono's face, Toru Watanabe's face was the same. It wasn't very friendly to the heart. So she decided to leave. Get dressed and come over quickly. I still have eggs in the frying pan. Okay, I'll be right there. She got dressed and walked into apartment 501. Huangzi was curled up on the chair, hugging her calves and sleeping with her head tilted. Miyazaki Miyuki was sleeping on the dining table, probably because her chest was too heavy. Good morning, sensei. Teacher. Toru Watanabe shouted. HM? What's wrong? Huangzi was startled awake and almost fell down. Miyazaki Miyuki slowly woke up. She straightened her back and yawned for 7 or 8 seconds. Her pajamas were about to burst open. Come and help. Aona Koizumi called. Coming. Toru Watanabe was very enthusiastic. During breakfast, Toru Watanabe talked about the apartment again because they were going to buy a house later. Sensei, you've really decided to buy this apartment? He asked. Of course. Huangzi said. What if you get married in the future? Let your husband move in. Toru Watanabe looked at the sleepy Huangzi. Isn't that inappropriate? Young man, you haven't been together with Aona yet. You don't have to think so far ahead. Miyazaki Miyuki said. I heard that. Aona Koizumi's voice came from the kitchen table. It's my dream to buy a house here. Huangzi picked up a piece of toast. Dream? At that time. When? Toru Watanabe asked. Huangzi smacked her lips in dissatisfaction. When I first came to Tokyo. Oh, please continue. At that time, the three of us were squeezed into a rundown apartment in Shambing district, and spent a lot of time on the tram every day. Toru Watanabe thought for a moment. Shambing district and Shinjuku district, where Kamigawa is located, are separated by Nakano district. Every day to go to work, they spend a lot of time on commuting. But in order to save money, the affordable housing there is indeed the best choice. Every time the tram stops at Shinano-cho, Huangzi continued, I hear the conductor shout, next stop Shinano-cho, and I make up my mind. In the future, I must buy a high-end apartment here. It's like there's something magical about it. Why must it be Shinano? Toru Watanabe curiously asked. How much money can a person earn in their lifetime? Huangzi suddenly asked. Toru Watanabe didn't know about this, but he read a lot of books. Those novelists, in order to write books, know a little bit about everything. In Mitsuaki Hikari's novel 3 Days of Happiness, there is an original quote. The book I read before mentioned that the lifetime salary of an office worker is probably 200 million to 300 million. So each person's life is probably worth this price. This book is published by Kadokawa's publishing house, and it's quite famous, so it shouldn't be a big problem. 200 million to 300 million. He replied. Then, among the people who can earn 200 million to 300 million in their lifetime, how many people can afford to buy a Shinano apartment? Koizumi-sensei, I don't know how to answer this question. Toru Watanabe asked the kitchen counter. Watanabe, don't pay attention to her. Koizumi-sensei responded. When it comes to buying a house, her brain is not clear. Huangzi ignored Aona Koizumi and continued to explain her dream to Toru Watanabe. Me, she pointed to herself. Aonai Miyazaki Miyuki, don't eat, don't drink, don't spend a penny. The three of us can buy a house in 10 years. With that, she contentedly added. This is a great dream. Looking at the proud Huangzi who was immersed in her dream, Toru Watanabe couldn't help but think of his father. When he was young, he rode a motorcycle up Mount Fuji. Did he also have a great dream? But compared to his dream, compared to the Yamaha motorcycle that climbed Toyama with him, he chose the Honda Coyote that delivered goods. He chose his family. What to regard as a treasure is a personal matter. He recalled Rin Kiyono's words. If you really decide to buy it, Have you considered a loan? Toru Watanabe asked. I've been preparing to ask the bank. Aona Koizumi walked over and handed him a cup of warm milk. If we can get a 0% down payment or a 10% low-interest mortgage, we'll buy it. 150 million for a house, with our identities as teachers, unless Aonai students are the best in the country every year. Miyazaki Miyuki lazily ate a strawberry with a fork and knife. Young man, it's not easy to be an adult. I believe in teachers. Toru Watanabe encouraged. Watanabe, when are you going to marry our Aonai? I don't want to work hard, I don't want to save money. I just want to eat barbecue every day. I want to buy the latest clothes and phones. Huangzi wailed. Aona Koizumi finished wiping her hands and sat down. Don't listen to Huangzi's nonsense. She's the one who saves the most among the three of us. She picked up her chopsticks. I've moved here for 3 months, I'm used to it. Toru Watanabe didn't mind. Seeing my savings increase is the only way to wash away my fatigue from work. Huangzi had a small tomato on her fork and knife. She looked at it affectionately, as if she was looking at her small savings that were slowly increasing every month. Toru Watanabe took a bite of the fried egg and said in admiration, Sensei Koizumi, the fried egg is getting better. Is that so? Aona Koizumi laughed. Then eat more. Hey Watanabe, I'm talking to you about the apartment. Did you hear me? Huangzi refused to let the two of them off the hook so easily. I heard you. I'll go buy it in the afternoon. After Toru Watanabe said that, Huangzi lost interest. What she wanted to see was the two of them hurriedly denying it, not the two of them who became thick-skinned. After dinner, Toru Watanabe helped wash the dishes. Then he left apartment 501. Aona Koizumi was going to wait for Huangzi and Miyazaki Miyuki to wake up before going to Mizuho Bank to ask about the loan and have some fun. Toru Watanabe and Mayasahi, together with the agent, went to the landlord to discuss the purchase of the apartment. The agent and the landlord were surprised to see the two of them. But as long as they could afford it, it didn't matter if the buyer was a 30-year-old adult, an 18-year-old college student, a ghost, a demon, or a deity. The rental rate of this apartment was very high, but under the agent's haggling, they finally sold it at a price 5% lower than the market price. Mayasahi signed and stamped it, and they could get the real estate certificate in about 2 weeks. The real estate certificate in Japan was called Registration Identification Information, a document with the real estate identification code written on it. This was something that Toru Watanabe found out later. Toru Watanabe transferred 500 million yen to Mayasahi. After that, the two of them took a taxi to the Black District, strolled around the Freedom Hill, and bought an oboe. The Freedom Hill was a place where the rhythm of life was melodious. The streets, the food, the desserts, and the furniture were all exquisite. In short, the artistic youth would like it at first sight. Perhaps there were people like Huangzi who regarded living here as a great dream. The two of them walked on a street called Nine Buddha. The left and right sides of the street were filled with dazzling shops and benches. There was a cherry blossom tree in the middle of the street. It was spring now, and the pink petals became the umbrella of the commercial street, turning it into a corridor. Do you want to drink milk tea? Toru Watanabe looked at the milk tea shop full of girls. There are too many people. It's okay, Toru Watanabe said slowly. We have a lot of time. Take it slow. Mayasahi looked at him. Okay. After waiting in line for 15 minutes, it was their turn. They walked under the cherry blossom tree and looked at the cabinets around them. When they saw something they liked, they went in to take a look. When they were tired, they found a place to sit down and drank a cup of milk tea while playing with a pigeon. Senior. Yes. Mayasahi looked away from the pigeon at her feet and looked at Toru Watanabe. Now that you have your own home, do you suddenly want to live seriously? I'm very happy with Toru. What I mean is, well, how should I put it? Toru Watanabe thought for a while. For example, do you want to cook every day, take a good bath, sleep early, wake up early, and go out to play every week? Mayasahi held the milk tea and looked up at the cherry blossom tree above her head. She seemed to be carefully analyzing her feelings to see if she was like what Toru Watanabe said. For her, other than liking Toru Watanabe, she didn't have any other feelings. If she didn't carefully feel it, She wouldn't have any. How about trying baking first? Toru Watanabe looked at her beautiful side profile. Making cakes and baking cookies? Toru, do you want to eat? Masahi looked at him. Yes, I'll eat it if Senior makes it. Masahi suddenly stood up. What's wrong? Toru Watanabe asked curiously. I'm buying ingredients. She paused and said. And baking reference books. No hurry. Toru Watanabe pulled her back to the bench. Let's talk about it after you rest. Okay. Masahi leaned her head on his shoulder. There were no clouds in the sky. The slightly cold wind in the morning was now warm. It was an impeccable early spring. Chapter 233. Are you free today? What is it? The weather is so good. Do you want to go to Fengzhou Park to read? You bring a copy of The Exile of Love. I bring a copy of Paradise Lost. Let's swap. So you like reading this kind of literature? No, I'm just interested in the female lead Rinko. Is that so? Unfortunately, I have no interest in Watanabe. Please make it clear. You're not interested in Watanabe, right? Not interested in Watanabe. You don't lie, and you don't tell the truth, Miss Kiyono. You're really something. I deliberately didn't say. I'm interested in the female lead to tease you, and you're teasing me. I'm a bit surprised that you didn't say it. It doesn't fit your playboy character that likes to tease girls. I'm only flirting with Casino-san. Well, that's right. What right? I've never had that kind of character. Anyway, you were going to say, I'm just interested in the female lead at first, and then you hesitated for a while, thinking that you have a girlfriend, so you changed Rin to Rinko, using a tactful way to express your infinite love for me. You're monitoring me? Or are you really a god? What is infinite love? I know exactly what you're thinking, piety. She's the most special, above everything else is her, my god, Rin Kiyono. My believer, tell your god what time. 9 o'clock, lunch is on me. I'll let you eat the fish I caught with my own hands. Fishing? Aren't you going to read? Didn't I tell you? I'm going fishing with a book. You don't lie and you don't tell the truth, Koen Watanabe. You're really something, proud. The great Toru Watanabe. Cold eyes. Toru Watanabe. Paul Ekman's lying? Praise. The well-read Toru Watanabe. Miss Kiyono. I think you need to learn from me how to praise people. Oh. Even your fingertips have a beautiful color. How about this? Today we're going to read Kawabata Yazunari's book. The well-read Arsan. See, what do you think of my way of praising people? Using a famous quote to get caught, and pretending to be your own strategy is indeed a good way to ease the awkwardness. It's hard to hate. 9 o'clock Fengzhou Park. One of the Gulf of Tokyo must sink today. Looking forward to it. Toru Watanabe was wearing a t-shirt with an abstract picture printed on it. He was wearing a red and black shirt, which was still open in front. It was bought by Mickey. He was wearing a pair of navy casual pants. After changing his clothes, he picked a book by Yazunari Kawabata from the bookshelf. When she passed by the living room, she saw the champagne roses on the table. They had been delivered today. He went out, took the roses, and tucked the neatly trimmed branches between the books. It was as if a rose had grown out of the book. Toru Watanabe thought for a moment, then took the flowers out. He only plucked a petal, and left it in the book. He put on his shoes at the entrance, slung the fishing toolbox he had prepared earlier, and set off. He took the Sobu line to Yurakucho, and then got off at Fengzhou Station. Today in Tokyo, traffic control was implemented in many areas. The marathon was starting today. The weather was very good. It was clear, windless, and a good day for the sun. Walking out of the station, not far ahead, under the shade of a beech tree, there was a bench. Rin Kiyono was sitting there, reading a book. She was wearing a blue and white trench coat, light blue jeans, and her beautiful black hair fell to her waist. Her outstanding beauty and mysterious temperament made people unable to get close to her. The sun rose and light covered the eastern hemisphere. But in the eyes of the passers-by, it was as if the sun rose for Rin Kiyono alone. All the light was concentrated on Rin Kiyono alone. And that beech tree. It was obviously a tree that could be found everywhere, but only that one tree. as if it was specially planted to shade her from the sun. Toru Watanabe stepped forward. "Aizen Dancer?" He looked at the book in her hand. "You've read it." Rin Kiyono raised her beautiful white face. "Taking this opportunity to review the book I've read, it's also very interesting." Toru Watanabe took out the book he had brought. "Have you read it?" "Girls' Harbor?" It tells a delicate story. Senkienko first became sisters with Yoko, and tactfully rejected Yoko. After Senkienko and Yoko spent a happy time together, they went out for a vacation, and were attracted to Yoko. In the end, the three of them became good friends. "Your thinking is really simple." Rin Kiyono took the book and stood up. Simple refers to the thinking of life. It's a kind of pursuit of the state of mind. It's not ignorance, it's a kind of state after getting rid of the hustle and bustle of life. Toru Watanabe also took Aizen Dancer. "It seems that you have a problem with understanding. Then I'll be more straightforward. You're too naive. Naive, pure, sincere, without any pretense or hypocrisy." Rin Kiyono sighed helplessly. "Watanabe, please have some self-awareness." Were you scolding me with your naivety and innocence just now?" The two of them walked side by side towards Fengzhou Park. The sky was so blue, the trees were so green, and the smell of Rin Kiyono's shampoo was so fragrant. They entered the park, passed through the lawn full of children and adults, and went down the slope full of cherry trees, and came to the Tokyo Bay. There was no beach here. The bottom of their feet was a cement walkway, and the Tokyo Bay was separated by a guardrail. Looking around the guardrail, many people chose to come here to fish in this weather. Toru Watanabe picked a spot with a bench. Rin Kiyono sat on the bench and watched him crouch down to assemble the fishing rod. "Why are there so many hooks?" she asked. "Maybe it's because I'm a playboy." Toru Watanabe answered without looking up. Rin Kiyono glared at him in annoyance. After Toru Watanabe assembled the fishing gear and threw the hook into the Tokyo Bay, she began to read. Turning to the first page, she saw a rose petal, neither too strong nor too light. She couldn't help but reach out her slender fingers and gently stroke the delicate petals. Her beautiful face softened. Looking up, the young man in front of her muttered, wondering if he could catch fish in this place. She retracted her gaze, smelling the cherry blossoms in the distance and the rose nearby, and began to read Girls' Harbor. This was a day not long after the grand entrance ceremony. After throwing the hook into the sea, Toru Watanabe stood by the white guardrail. He read 2 sentences of Aizen Dancer, glanced at the bobber, looked at the sparkling Tokyo Bay for 2 seconds, and then glanced at the Rainbow Bridge in the distance twice. The sound of Rin Kiyono flipping through the pages of the book could be heard regularly in his ears. Blue sky, white clouds, pink cherry blossoms, green lawns, warm sea breeze, warm sun, azaleas blooming in the flower beds in the distance. Fishing in the Tokyo Bay was a test of patience. Fortunately, Toru Watanabe came here to read, so he didn't care at all about the fact that he only caught 2 pieces of kelp and a medium-sized sea bass. But someone cared. "I saw someone catch a baby shark," Watanabe classmate. At noon, Rin Kiyono said to Toru Watanabe, who was packing up the fishing gear. "I forgot to make a nest. Otherwise, don't mention the baby shark. The baby shark's father. Big and small sharks. I'll catch them for you today." After packing up the fishing gear, he said, "Next, let's go to the restaurant I booked. You can bring your own fish there, and the chef will help with the cooking." "You usually bring the best fish there?" "Some things are good to know. There's no need to say it out loud. This is the secret to keeping a happy mood for your believers." The two walked along the guardrail, along the Tokyo Bay, and walked out of the park. "Can I order other dishes?" Rin Kiyono held the book in her arms like a literary girl. "You can order other dishes, but you can't look down on my sea bass. It's not like you don't understand what I'm saying. I caught this for you with my own hands. You should feel happy, not disdain. Don't make it difficult for me, Watanabe classmate. You know I only tell the truth." "What truth?" "I think you're deliberately mocking my fishing skills, right? I can't deny it." "You're not cute at all," Toru Watanabe said. Rin Kiyono turned her head and said with a slightly smug smile, "Lies." Behind her, the budding magnolia swayed with the wind. "It's the truth." Toru Watanabe forcibly quibbled without any will to resist. Coming to the side of the road, he casually grabbed an azalea flower from the flower bed and sucked the nectar of the azalea flower. As he sucked, he said to Rin Kiyono, "When I was a child it felt very sweet, but now it doesn't taste at all." Sure enough, people are happy when they're young. There aren't so many things. A piece of candy can make people happy for a while. Growing up also has its happy moments, and people have to grow up. Rin Kiyono said. That makes sense. Toru Watanabe nodded. When I was in the village, climbing trees and catching crabs every day were very happy. After coming to Tokyo, there are also happy things. For example, you and Kiyono classmate came to fish today. So you really asked me to accompany you to fish. Mainly to treat you to a meal. At noon in the spring, Tokyo Bay became very beautiful. The scene of a boy and a girl walking side by side was like a scene from a manga. Leaving Toyosu Park, when crossing the zebra crossing, passers-by looked at them. Toru Watanabe's expression didn't change. He was accustomed to this kind of thing. Rin Kiyono glanced at the big red azalea flower in his mouth. After walking for 5 minutes, they arrived at the door of the restaurant that they had booked in advance. Toru Watanabe helped to open the door. Rin Kiyono took the lead and walked in. When the two passed by, she said, "Azalea flower." Toru Watanabe didn't react at first. Then he lowered his eyes and quickly took the azalea flower from his mouth. The waiter led the two to sit down, ordered for them, and then confirmed the method of cooking sea bass. Finally, he took the fish and left. You already knew? Toru Watanabe asked Rin Kiyono about the azalea flower. Yes. Rin Kiyono nodded. Why didn't you remind me earlier? It's not a big deal. Besides, I wanted to see you lose face. Are you a sadist, Arsene? I don't think so. Rin Kiyono rested her chin on her hand and muttered. I only want to bully you and see you lose face. I'm not interested in other people. That doesn't count? So what if it does? So what if it doesn't? Aren't you happy that I'm scolding you? I don't. Toru Watanabe wasn't very confident. He secretly glanced at Rin Kiyono's expression, wanting to know if he was telling the truth. Rin Kiyono took a sip of her lemonade and watched Girls Harbor. It seemed that she had guessed correctly. Toru Watanabe, who couldn't get an answer, could only look around the restaurant in boredom. The table was covered in white and shiny tablecloths, and there was a considerable distance between each table. Even though it was noon, all the lights were on. There was no music, and the customers were chatting in low voices, making the restaurant even quieter. Actually, from the wine on the menu and the waiters who were in charge of pouring the wine, it was easy to tell that this restaurant was expensive. The last time they ate, they had a total of 1,946 yuan worth of wine from Food Fragrance Pavilion, which was completely different from this. But no matter how different it was, for Toru Watanabe and Rin Kiyono, this was a restaurant where they could eat whenever they wanted. The price wasn't part of their consideration. After a while, the waiter brought over the steak that was grilled to perfection. There was also lightly grilled abalone and sliced oranges on the side. Rin Kiyono closed the book, carefully put it aside, and began to enjoy the steak. What have you been doing recently? Toru Watanabe asked. Shopping, buying clothes, buying shoes, mostly reading books and watching movies at home. Rin Kiyono used the knife with precision and elegance, and the way she put the steak into her mouth with a fork was attractive. You didn't travel? In this season, there are people everywhere in Japan, and the whole world came to see the cherry blossoms. I don't want to go abroad. I'm the same, staying at home all day. Rin Kiyono drank a mouthful of lemonade. You didn't go to find your Mickey? My Mickey is abroad. So you came to find me. What's the reason? Toru Watanabe asked strangely. I told her about buying roses, and I wanted to invite you two to perform the real-life version of Girls Harbor. But she went abroad. She didn't say anything? Rin Kiyono looked at him meaningfully. Since you care about her so much, you can go find her yourself. Toru Watanabe said with a smile. Seino Lin didn't pay any attention to this kind of teasing question, and continued to focus on cutting his steak. Toru Watanabe took a bite of the steak, and the waiter served steamed sea bass, which smelled delicious. Miss Kino, hurry up and try it. This was personally caught by a handsome guy from Tokyo. If you take it out to film, it's more expensive than Warren Buffett's lunch. You can't buy lunch with me even if you have money. If you want to be narcissistic, please wait until school starts. You can take a break during the holidays. Rin Kiyono ignored Toru Watanabe, drank a mouthful of lemonade, and then picked up the snow-white fish with her chopsticks and put it in her soft cherry-colored lips. Rather than saying that she was tasting the sea bass, it was more like the sea bass was tasting her tongue. It was really enviable. Rin Kiyono's beauty had reached this level. How is it? Toru Watanabe asked. The cooking is SOSO, the ingredients are too bad. The chef is going to take out a knife to kill someone. It doesn't matter, you will block the knife for me anyway. Gentle reminder. You just said that the ingredients I provide are too bad, guess who I will help? Help me. Rin Kiyono was so confident that she played it down. Correct. Toru Watanabe gently clapped, his face full of admiration. Rin Kiyono didn't comment on his exaggerated acting, and stared at Toru Watanabe's back. What are you looking at? Toru Watanabe turned his head. The family of 3, followed by Mayasahi. Also, the restaurant had unknowingly turned on the TV. The volume was very low, and it was broadcasting the last moments of the marathon. I know him. Toru Watanabe pointed at the black man who crossed the finish line first. Releasa once ran with me. In terms of achievements in running, I ran with him before would be more appropriate. Sano Rin's gaze met with Lina Asami's as she looked over. Chapter 234. Wow, this place is great! Exclaimed the little girl who looked like a middle school student. Lihua, Mommy picked this place especially for you, said the person who looked like a father with a smile. Thank you, Daddy. Thank you, Mommy. The little girl's voice was as cheerful as a lark. If there's anything you don't understand in school, you can ask your sister, said her mother. Okay. The little girl smiled at Mayasahi and said, Sister Mai, please. Mayasahi nodded lightly. The waiter led the 4 of them to their reserved seats, which were neither too far nor too close to Toru Watanabe. Speaking of which, Rin Kiyono retracted her gaze from Mayasahi and looked at Toru Watanabe. You haven't told me about your relationship with Mayasahi. You don't want to tell me? That's not it. Toru Watanabe said. Didn't I tell you when we were camping during the winter? As long as you want to know, I'll tell you. Are you trying to remind me of what I said before? If you don't want to talk about it, I won't ask about it. Whether I want to talk about it or not depends on whether you want to know. Rin Kiyono cut the beef with a knife. Go ahead. Why don't you take a guess? Lover? Rin Kiyono put the beef into her mouth and glanced at Toru Watanabe. It was too fast. Yes. Toru Watanabe nodded. Rin Kiyono was just his friend. There was nothing to feel guilty about, right? Rin Kiyono chewed regularly and continued cutting the beef with her knife. After 3 seconds of silence, Toru Watanabe couldn't help but ask, Don't you have anything to ask? Miki Kujo should be the one having a headache, not me. Rin Kiyono continued eating. Indeed, it had nothing to do with her, but can I talk about what happened between me and Senior Mai? You don't have to report everything to me. It's not necessary. Are you angry? Toru Watanabe was happier than before. I've never been angry. I'm just occasionally annoyed. Rin Kiyono took a sip of water. You don't have to worry about me. Kiyono, give me some time to explain. I'll leave after I finish eating. Rin Kiyono continued to eat the remaining half of the steak. The story between me and Senior Mai started from the Battle of the 4 Northern Islands. Toru Watanabe told the whole story to Rin Kiyono. Of course, he skipped over what happened that night. By the time he finished speaking, the steak was already finished. Rin Kiyono gently wiped her lips with a towel and confirmed in a flat voice. You've gone so far and rejected her so many times, but she's still not willing to give up? If it weren't for this, I would never betray my Kei-san. In order to adhere to my principles, even you are just friends. Rin Kiyono remembered what Toru Watanabe said when the two of them were lying on the high-class snow trail during the winter camping. If there's a next life, let's meet earlier. There was indeed no reason for someone who rejected a beautiful girl like her to look for someone else. Toru Watanabe was a gentle person. She knew this from the time they met at the Shinagawa Aquarium. Toru Watanabe was such a person. He deliberately said that he was afraid of Miki Kujo, was greedy, and sacrificed his reputation to save others. But Masahi's actions also surprised her. She knew that he wanted to kill her, but not only did she not resist, but she also reminded him to use succinine and not leave any traces. Such an incredible thing actually happened to her. Speaking of incredible, wasn't she even more incredible? Then what are you going to do now? She asked. Since we've decided to be together, I naturally can't let her down. What about Miki Kujo? Toru Watanabe took a deep breath and slowly sighed. There will always be a way. In any case, I won't let any of them leave me. You mean if you're not discovered, you're going to keep hiding it from Kujo? Toru Watanabe was a little embarrassed. As expected of the god Kiyono, who could see through lies, she could always grasp people's innermost thoughts. Yes. Toru Watanabe could only nod. How can you say something like that? Good bad, I don't want to hide it from you. Rin Kiyono's mouth curved up. It was a smile. But to see a smile from above was tantamount to seeking water from the yellow sand on the surface of the desert. So, Toru Watanabe looked directly at Rin Kiyono. What are your thoughts right now? What thoughts could I possibly have? Rin Kiyono retracted her deadpan smile. Her expression returned to normal. After a long while she asked, if one day you discover that you like me more than Miki Kujo, and you kneel down and beg me to go out with you, would you be willing to break off all contact with them? Kneel down and beg me to go out with you. Toru Watanabe knew what she meant, but her method of throwing a tantrum was truly unique. That day won't come. We'll always be the closest of friends, Toru Watanabe stated. He then explained, ever since the incident with my senpai, I've decided that I won't smile at other girls again, nor will I go out with other girls again. You make it sound so nice. Rin Kiyono nodded. Then can you guarantee that you'll never kneel down and beg me to go out with you again? I'm determined to do so, but I can't guarantee it. Since you can't guarantee it, then it's possible. Rin Kiyono continued. When that day comes, what do you intend to do? She raised her right index finger, and her left index finger and middle finger. Which side will you choose? By the way, Rin Kiyono spoke up again. Do you have anyone else? Say it all together. No. I really don't have anyone else. I'm a good person. A good person? Rin Kiyono sneered. Choose. Toru Watanabe felt that her calm tone was terrifying, but there was also a faint feeling of being spoiled. What was with this feeling? Is it very difficult? Rin Kiyono asked when she saw that he remained silent. It's very difficult. Toru Watanabe nodded. Then let me analyze it for you. She looked at her right index finger. You'll have to give up on 2 people in the source, and there may be a 4th or 5th person in the future. Choose this side. She turned to look at her left hand. 2. No, with Miki Kujo's intelligence and ability, she'll be discovered sooner or later, and then based on her jealousy and possessiveness. You know better than me what will happen to Masahi. She retracted her hands, took a sip of lemon water, and looked at Masahi. Just as Toru Watanabe said, there was a wall between her and the other 3 people in the reorganized family. It was partly because of her parents, and partly because of Masahi's cold personality. Masahi looked over, and the 2 of them exchanged glances. Will you tell Miki about me and my senpai? Toru Watanabe asked. That's not my business, and I don't like to spread other people's private affairs. But, Rin Kiyono looked away. I have nothing to do with her, and I'm not as gentle as you. In the future, I won't interfere with anything that Miki Kujo does to her. I'll protect her, Toru Watanabe said. You mean choose them? Toru Watanabe was speechless. After a moment of silence he said, I've already let Miki down once. Then be prepared for the second time. What do you mean? Are you looking down on me? I can feel your feelings. Soon, you'll love me so much that you'll kneel down and beg me to be with you. Where did you feel that from? Why don't I feel it? Or are you starting to lie? Look at our chat history today, Rin Kiyono said as she drank her lemon water. Toru Watanabe took out his phone and scrolled through it. It's nothing. He didn't feel anything when he sent it. He felt like he had a lot of fun chatting, and his hands moved faster than his brain. Watanabe-san. Rin Kiyono put down her cup. Please be prepared to break off your relationship with them. And think of the lines you'll say when you kneel down and beg me. You're really confident. Watanabe was speechless as he put away his phone. At this time, there was a sudden commotion. The two of them looked in the direction of the noise, and saw Mayasahi's mother angrily leaving. Her husband hurriedly followed. The little middle school girl looked at Mayasahi, who was still standing there, and then looked at her parents. She picked up her parents' coat and bag and ran after her mother. The waiter carefully walked towards Mayasahi, who was alone at the table, and whispered something to her. Mayasahi didn't say a word. She picked up her bag and walked towards Toru Watanabe and sat down at the table. Toru Watanabe rang the bell and called the waiter. Please give me 3 servings of veal from Normandy, roasted snails with burgundy vanilla sauce, tender chicken soup, cold fresh base fillet, and dry roasted snapper. Okay, please wait a moment. After the waiter left, Toru Watanabe held Mayasahi's hand. He didn't ask what happened and only said, I'm here. I'm here. Che. Mayasahi held his hand tightly and looked at him without blinking. How long are you going to hold hands? Rin Kiyono looked coldly at the two of them holding hands. Toru Watanabe let go of her hand awkwardly. Mayasahi was still looking at him. Rin Kiyono glanced at Mayasahi. He vaguely felt that something was wrong with her before, but he didn't realize that there was something wrong with her to this extent. What happened just now? Toru Watanabe asked. I told them not to give me living expenses and rent. They asked why, and I said I'm a kept woman. They want to cut ties with me. Mayasahi's words were simple. Her voice was emotionless, as if she was talking about someone else's business. Kept woman? Rin Kiyono couldn't help but sneer. He said to Toru Watanabe, You're even more stupid than I thought. You dare to use Miki Kujo's money to buy things for other women. It seems that you're going to end soon. Che. Mayasahi tilted her head slightly. Don't worry. I used my own money, and Miki won't be able to find out. Toru Watanabe comforted her. Mayasahi nodded. She believed in his words unconditionally. Rin Kiyono's slender fingers touched his chin. He said to himself, when it's my turn in the future, I'll have to pay attention to this. You're thinking too much. Mayasahi looked back and forth between the two of them. Her eyes revealed a hint of doubt. She asked in a flat voice. Che isn't with her? With who? Toru Watanabe didn't understand. Rin Kiyono. When did the two of us get together? Toru Watanabe couldn't understand. The band said so. Mayasahi answered. Don't they know that Miki and I are dating? They know. Then why are there rumors that Kiyono and I are together? Che also has me. Mayasahi's tone was indifferent. At this moment, it sounded a little naive. Toru Watanabe was speechless. Rin Kiyono stared at him with a mocking sneer. Seeing her smile, Toru Watanabe's heart suddenly felt at ease. Or rather, he pretended to feel at ease. He said casually, forget it. No matter what, rumors are still rumors. Let them talk. The waiter began to serve the dishes. The three of them ate intermittently. After eating, Mayasahi decided to go find her biological father and cut off their relationship. I'll go with you. Toru Watanabe said. No need. Mayasahi shook her head. I've already caused trouble for Che. After spending some time together, Toru Watanabe knew her personality. Once she made a decision, she would stick to it until the end. For example, making a cake. It was Toru Watanabe who had suggested that she do this, but she had failed 4 times in a row. Either she couldn't send, or she retreated. Toru Watanabe had also advised her to take a break, but she still insisted. After Mayasahi left, Toru Watanabe and Rin Kiyono returned to Fongjo Park. They plan to finish the rest of the book while basking in the sun. Her behavior and mentality are very suitable for a lover. No wonder you can't bear to part with her. Rin Kiyono said. It doesn't matter if she's not suitable. I can't bear to part with her, because I promised to be her family. Rin Kiyono sighed helplessly. I don't know if I should call you a scumbag or a responsible person. Humans are complicated animals. The interpersonal relationships derived from humans are even more complicated. The Human Observation Department has one more project to investigate if Toru Watanabe is a scumbag. I'm already very grateful that you didn't directly label me as a scumbag, Toru Watanabe said. Because I know whether you're lying or not. I understand your mentality when you make a choice. If it was Miki Kujo, no matter how you explain it, it would be useless. That makes sense. Toru Watanabe nodded. Wait, was that one of your methods to make me fall in love with you? You can think of it that way. You obviously don't have such thoughts. When faced with other people's praise, you didn't even blush when you acknowledged it. Kiyono-san, your shameless appearance is also very likable. Thank you. I also like myself very much. After entering Fongjo Park and walking on the green lawn, they saw familiar faces. It was Masahi's mother and the other two who had just left. The girl named Rika was chatting with a girl of the same age in the distance. Masahi's mother and her husband were whispering something. Toru Watanabe and Rin Kiyono happened to hear a part of it when they passed by. Actually, after cutting ties with I'm also relieved. I've finally gotten rid of a burden. I can now focus on being together with you and Rika. It's been hard on you. Rin Kiyono looked at Toru Watanabe, who had a calm expression, and subconsciously comforted him. Children who wish for their parents to disappear quickly after they grow up. Parents who wish for their children to die of illness. These kinds of people exist everywhere. Toru Watanabe turned his head and looked at Rin Kiyono's clear eyes. Kiyono-san, I will save you no matter if it's Tokyo Bay or the River of Life. Rin Kiyono's expression became gentle as she spoke gently. Is this your plan to cheat on 3 men? Hey, how are you? I'm great. Toru Watanabe waved to someone in the distance. After greeting them, he turned his head and smiled at Rin Kiyono. Trams. I really like trams. In the future, my dream is to become a professional tram photographer. Where's the Prime Minister? I'm not doing it. Where's the handsome guy from Tokyo? These two don't conflict, right? In the direction that Toru Watanabe had just greeted, the Yuri Seagull monorail passed by under the clear spring sky. It was still a short time before the cherry blossoms bloomed. Toru Watanabe smiled and said to Miki Kujo, It is said that couples who walk through this cherry blossom tunnel hand in hand will always be together and grow old together. Is there such a thing? Before I came, I did my homework. Toru Watanabe said proudly. You didn't just make it up, did you? Miki Kujo stared at him suspiciously. Yes, I just made it up. Miki Kujo stared straight at him. Her eyes were full of pressure. I mainly want to hold your hand. Toru Watanabe spread out his left hand. Come on, sweetheart. Honey, if this happens again, I will divorce you. Miki Kujo said with a smile, and put her right hand in Toru Watanabe's hand. Quarreling is quarreling. Don't joke about divorce. Toru Watanabe's serious expression made Miki Kujo glare at him. It was as if the two of them were really married. The two of them walked hand in hand on the pink-dyed cherry blossom road. Toru Watanabe whispered something to Miki Kujo from time to time. Miki Kujo occasionally rolled her eyes at him, nodded in response, and occasionally looked at him with disdain. Unknowingly, her fingers reached into Toru Watanabe's fingers. The two of them could feel each other's 5 fingers and tacitly grasped each other's hands at the same time. This way of holding hands was closer, and would not easily separate. The two of them found a high-end restaurant and ate casually. There are no attractions in the hot sea. It is only famous for its hot springs. Do you want to go there? Toru Watanabe asked. You came all the way from Tokyo just to go to the hot springs? I'm not happy. Let's go to the next stop after we finish eating. Minami Izu Shimoda. It was just a very ordinary city. It didn't have the night view of Roppongi, the luxury of Ginza, the trends of Shibuya, or the medieval shops of Harajuku. But the two of them were very happy walking hand in hand on the ordinary zebra crossing. The sun was warm, the streets were spotless, crystal clear. And even the number of pedestrians around them was not more or less. Everything was in its best state. The two of them did nothing but walk for half an hour on the road. On the way, Toru Watanabe hugged Miki Kujo and took a few photos. The background was the peach blossoms that could be seen everywhere on the roadside. I'm not happy. Miki Kujo was tired. We've been walking for so long. Suddenly you're not happy? I'm happy when I walk. Are you Forrest Gump? Forrest Gump is running. Miki Kujo's eyes sharpened. Let's go to the next stop. I'm tired. I'll carry you. Toru Watanabe bent down in front of Miki Kujo. Miki Kujo threw herself on his back and wrapped her arms around his neck. I feel a little better, she said in a pleasant tone. Then I'll carry you for the rest of my life, Toru Watanabe said with a smile. You mean my leg is broken? No. Toru Watanabe walked towards the tram platform. I mean your beautiful legs shouldn't step on the ground. Miki Kujo's lips came close to his ear, and her voice was melodious and charming. Where should I step on if not on the ground? Sister, be serious. Toru Watanabe's face was serious, and his hand patted her but through the casual pants. Because she was being carried, Miki Kujo's casual pants were tight, and her breasts were round and beautiful to the touch. Miki Kujo's right hand exerted strength, and strangled his neck. Die, I'm going to die. I'm really going to die. The tram from Shimoda to Kawazu was on the edge of the coastline. There were few people in the tram. The red seats facing each other, the carriage was clean, and the glass was transparent. Outside the glass, there was the blue sea. The closer they got to Kawazu, the stronger the smell of spring. The two of them sat on the same side, where they could see the sea. Miki Kujo lazily leaned her head on Toru Watanabe's shoulder. The sun shone on the tram walkway, just above their toes. Where are we going? She asked. Kawazu. Is it going to a hot spring again, or a place with nothing? Of course not. Toru Watanabe promised. In Kawazu, there is a unique early cherry blossom called Kawazu cherry. On both sides of the river, there are as many as 8,000 of them. To see cherry blossoms? The whole river, both sides are full of cherry blossoms, and you can't see the end of it. It stretches for 10 kilometers. It's average. How is it average? Toru Watanabe's right hand that was holding Miki Kujo slightly tightened, and the two of them were closer together. He continued. Think about it, it's the end of March, when the wind blows, these early cherry blossoms will float down like rain, along the river to the Pacific Ocean. It's average. That's 10 kilometers of cherry blossoms. The Pacific Ocean. It's average. It's average, it's average, you'll know when the time comes. Toru Watanabe gritted his teeth, kissed her on the forehead, and hugged her even tighter. Miki Kujo snorted contemptuously and disdainfully, still letting him hold her. The tram shook, and the green sea outside the window hit the beach, splashing white foam. The tram arrived at Kawazu, and the cherry blossoms by the river bloomed. The pink flower belt that stretched for 10 kilometers was woven together with the sea, the river, and the people who were admiring the flowers. The two of them walked hand in hand among the cherry blossom trees, and finally stood at the end of a very island-style bridge. With Miki's drawing ability, you can definitely draw a cherry blossom landscape painting, worth 1 billion yen with the river in front of you. Toru Watanabe waved at both sides of the river, and said generously, even if you say something nice, it can't stop my bad mood. What's wrong now? Toru Watanabe turned to look at her beautiful and delicate side profile. You said it's cherry blossom viewing, but in the end it's still walking. Miki Kujo glanced at him. According to what you said, traveling is also walking. That's right. Miki Kujo nodded. You really planned to be unhappy from the beginning, and played me. Who suggested coming to Aizu? Toru Watanabe was speechless, and gritted his teeth. Next stop. Last chance. If it still doesn't work, you have to obediently accept your fate, dress up as a geisha, and serve this lady. Why does it have to be a geisha? How about a samurai? I's no dancer. It was also you who suggested it, my Watanabe. Miki Kujo's mouth revealed a triumphant smile as she stared at Toru Watanabe. That proud and cunning beautiful figure belonged to him. Realizing this fact, a warm current flowed through Toru Watanabe's heart. He pulled Miki Kujo into his arms and cupped her cheek with his right hand. The two kissed on the bridge under the cherry blossom rain. The river was turbulent and flowed into the Pacific Ocean. The Pacific Ocean evaporated and became the river water of the river. After a long time, Toru Watanabe pressed his forehead against Miki Kujo's and said with a slightly hoarse voice, I booked a hot spring hotel at Shuzhanji. Carry me. Toru Watanabe carried Miki Kujo on his back and walked along the river's cherry blossom path towards the beach's bus stop. Apart from cherry blossoms, there were also large patches of canola flowers in full bloom. Bus? Toru Watanabe asked in confusion. What bus? Miki Kujo asked. Wait a moment. Toru Watanabe started running. Miki Kujo looked in front of her. In the distance, next to the blue road sign on the platform, a bus was slowly starting up. Wait a moment. Toru Watanabe shouted as he ran. Ha ha ha, good luck. Miki Kujo's delighted laughter was carried away by the wind. Make it. Unfortunately. Perhaps the bus was too noisy, or perhaps the driver didn't look in the rearview mirror, or perhaps the bus company didn't allow people to stop and wait, but Toru Watanabe still didn't make it. Damn it. Toru Watanabe's breathing was not disturbed at all. Let me see. Miki Kujo peeked out from his back and looked at the bus stop. You have to wait for an hour. Do you have any other reason? Kiss. Did I let you kiss me? Miki Kujo said coldly. You kissed me without my permission. I haven't settled the score with you yet. Toru Watanabe didn't say anything. The bus stop says there's plenty of soup in front. Let's wait there. Miki Kujo wrapped her legs around his waist. Okay, princess, sit tight. Watanabe horse will take you there. Toru Watanabe carried Miki Kujo on his back and walked along the beach road. The white clouds were sparse, and the Pacific Ocean on their left was endless. Miki, can we talk about it again? No. Anyway, I've been very happy today. Even if I didn't catch the bus now, I still enjoy carrying you like this. No. Miki Kujo's cheek lazily stuck to Toru Watanabe's back. I like you. No. I love you. Louder. Toru Watanabe looked around. The beach road was empty, only they were there. I love you. Who do you love? I love Miki Kujo. Say it again. Well, good, I love you too. Then. No. Are you kidding me? When did I promise you? Seeing that he didn't speak, Miki Kujo raised her head, bit his ear and said, The agreement of I'll wear whatever you wear is still valid today. Geisha Miki skin unlock? I love you. Yes. I love you. Yes. Jetting. Got it. Timo. Enough is enough. Yajibiliubliu. The wide-angle mirror on the side of the road reflected the two of them together. After walking for a while, they finally saw a sign with the word foot soup written on it. Before they got close, they could see the steaming steam. There was free foot soup on the side of the road, and hot spring water kept flowing from the water pipe to keep the water clean and warm. Soak for a while. Take off my shoes. Miki Kujo didn't get down, but stretched out her foot. Her tone was like an order, but also a little coquettish. Toru Watanabe took off her shoes and socks, and rolled up her pants to her calves. When he finished all this, Miki Kujo got down from his back, and her smooth and delicate feet stepped on the cobblestone floor. Toru Watanabe took off his coat and spread it on the stool. When he took off his shoes and socks, sat down, and put his foot into the hot spring, which was about 40 degrees, Miki Kujo didn't dare to put her foot directly in. Is it so hot? Toru Watanabe asked with a smile. Miki Kujo's foot touched the hot spring water, and immediately frowned and took it away. Toru Watanabe put his hand into the hot spring, cupped a handful, and gently poured it on her feet. Miki Kujo didn't avoid it and could barely bear it. Toru Watanabe looked at her toes, which were clenched because of the hot water. Miki, you're so cute. Do you want to eat? Let's talk about it tonight. With Toru Watanabe's help, Miki Kujo finally put her foot in. The two sat side by the hot spring. In front of them was the Pacific Ocean, behind them was the mountain scenery, and not far away were large cherry blossoms, and under their feet was the hot spring. This was the happiest moment of the day. Chapter 236. Shuzenji is a famous hot spring town in central Aizu. It has the oldest hot spring in the entire Aizu Peninsula, and also the story of Aizu's dancer. The town is surrounded by mountains, and the hot spring hotel Toru Watanabe booked is also in the mountains. Their room was a harmony room facing the sea. I like it here. Toru Watanabe sat under the sunlight. Nearby, there are camphor trees, plum trees, and cherry trees. Far away, there is the Pacific Ocean. Miki Kujo lazily sat in the room. She said, in a melodious tone that was teasing, expectant, and mischievous. Do you want to take a shower and then wear it, or wear it now? Look, the sea is so calm. Toru Watanabe pointed at the sea. Then wear it now. Cherry blossoms. Toru Watanabe leaned out from the corridor. Just now a bird flew by. It looked like a skylark. Its tail was... Come here. Miki Kujo's voice became cold, as she ordered. Toru Watanabe helplessly sighed, got up and said, Tonight, don't go back on your word. When have I not fulfilled my promise to you? Toru Watanabe walked in front of her, took off his clothes, and Miki Kujo put her hand on his trousers, and took them off for him. Who? Miki Kujo blew a long breath of hot air in that direction. His reaction was visible to the naked eye, which made her laugh. Toru Watanabe looked at her delicate lips, and restrained his evil thoughts. The kimono Miki Kujo brought was quite gorgeous. The kimono was red, and on the red background were colorful auspicious birds, and the sleeves were embroidered with black Kujo vines, which were very bright. Come, put on the shirt first. Miki Kujo said with a smile. Ah! Toru Watanabe wailed. Miki Kujo enjoyed his desperate expression as she closed the front of his shirt. And then the cloth socks. Miki Kujo squatted by his feet, turned the heel of the cloth socks outwards, and motioned for him to put his foot in. Absolutely not really. Toru Watanabe said firmly. I'll help you put on your clothes. What else do you want? Hurry up. Toru Watanabe reluctantly put his hand on her shoulder, and put his feet into the cloth socks. Miki Kujo carefully buttoned up his socks. Good girl, the last kimono. Toru Watanabe had already given up struggling. He opened his arms and allowed Miki Kujo to dress him in a gorgeous red kimono. Miki Kujo couldn't stop smiling as she closed the front of her kimono and fastened her wide belt. Take it off, it's definitely ugly. How am I ugly? It's very nice. Miki Kujo tightened her belt, laughing so hard that she was about to cry. After she finished fastening the belt, she asked Toru Watanabe to squat down. Toru Watanabe sat down on the tatami. That's not how a geisha should sit. Come, let me teach you. Miki Kujo knelt on the ground with her hands folded on her knees. Wait a minute. Toru Watanabe stood up, wearing his kimono, and walked to the eaves of the corridor. He poked his head out and looked around twice, confirming that this place was indeed close to the cliff, and that no one would pass by. When he turned around, Miki Kujo was holding her stomach and laughing. The geisha sitting posture was completely gone. Sure enough, I'll take it off. Hurry up. Miki Kujo patted the side, indicating that he should quickly follow her sitting posture. In her stern tone, there was still an uncontrollable smile. Toru Watanabe had no choice but to kneel on the tatami obediently. Put your hands like this. Miki Kujo reached out to correct his posture. Your back like this. Yes, very smart. After that, she stood up and took out a Takashimata-style wig. Her slightly cold hands lifted Toru Watanabe's bangs and put on the wig for him. After doing all this, she walked around Toru Watanabe admiringly, then suddenly remembered to take out her phone and take pictures of him like crazy. You can take pictures, but you must not spread them. Don't worry. Come, bow with your hands on the ground and lower your head. Very good. Then like this. Miki Kujo made a shy orchid gesture with her chin. Not bad, not bad. Miki Kujo took out a folding fan, and gently lifted Toru Watanabe's chin. The phone in her other hand was already in camera mode. So beautiful. I like you, Miss Watanabe, Miki Kujo said with a smile. Say that you like me too, quick. Miki Kujo pointed her phone at him. I like you too. Voice, pay attention to the voice. So beautiful. I like you, Miss Watanabe. Under Miki Kujo's sharp gaze, Toru Watanabe said in a gentle voice, I like you too. He was going crazy. Ha ha ha, don't be unhappy. Come, take a look for yourself. Miki Kujo held Toru Watanabe's hand as if she was holding a beauty. The two of them came to the full-length mirror. The clear mirror reflected the figures of two beauties. You're even prettier than the geisha we chose in Kyoto, the most beautiful geisha in Gion. Miki Kujo praised. It felt like a compliment to comfort the injured. It's all right. Looking at the beauty in the mirror and admiring his beautiful side, Toru Watanabe finally felt a little comforted. He shook the long sleeves of his kimono and said, How am I prettier than Miki? You're so beautiful. How can Miki compare to you? Miki Kujo was very cooperative. Toru Watanabe humphed proudly. No matter if it's men's or women's clothing, no one can compare to me. What Miki Kujo? What Rin Kiyono? They're just a mob. Beautiful, you're beautiful. Miki Kujo's smile hadn't stopped since the beginning. As expected, I still took it off. Toru Watanabe reached out and took off his wig. Halfway through, he suddenly realized something and turned to look at Kujio Miyoshi. This kimono's size is mine. What about you? I'm not wearing it. She answered matter-of-factly. You're not wearing it? Toru Watanabe raised his voice slightly. I trusted you so much. I looked forward to it so much. You actually lied to me. What's the hurry? Miki Kujo glanced at him coldly. There's one more thing. That's good. Toru Watanabe breathed a sigh of relief. After a long time, the sunlight on the other side of the corridor was dyed red. The sea was rippling, and the wind was blowing. There's still some time before dinner. How about soaking in the hot spring for a while? Toru Watanabe asked. Miki Kujo groaned and stretched her body after walking for a day. She spread her slender and soft arms. Help me change. I couldn't ask for more. Where's the etiquette I just taught you? The most beautiful geisha in Kyoto, Watanabe, helped the guest from Tokyo change. After putting on a bathrobe for Miki Kujo's snow-white and alluring body, Toru Watanabe could finally take off his kimono. The two of them put on their slippers. Toru Watanabe took a towel and clothes, and went to the hot spring that belonged to this room. The hot spring comes from the mountain, and flows into the Pacific Ocean. It's very clean. Before we came, I asked the boss to clean it up. It's okay. In the future, wherever we're going to travel, I'll build a house there first, or buy a new one. That will limit the fun of traveling freely and going wherever you want. Like this time, I'll get someone to change everything. I'll do as you say. The path leading to the private hot spring was planted with yashike's flowers, ghost ferns and phoenix pine. There was also a shallow stream as wide as a palm. Daffodils bloomed on both sides of the stream. The hot spring highlighted the natural appeal. The only artificial trace was the exquisite stone lanterns on the ground. The two of them took off their clothes and entered the hot spring. Their entire bodies were soaked in the hot spring, only their shoulders were exposed. They leaned against the hot spring and looked at the sea under the setting sun. The atmosphere was comfortable and comfortable. It made one not want to speak. But because it was so rare, Toru Watanabe could not help but feel sorry for it. I really want to stay like this forever. Miki Kujo gently shifted her position. The hot spring rippled as she nestled in Toru Watanabe's arms. The steaming steam and the soft light intertwined together. It was a quiet evening. Other than the flow of the hot spring, only the sound of leaves rubbing against each other could be heard. After reluctantly soaking in the hot spring, the two of them returned to their room. They called the front desk and a waiter immediately served dinner. Sorry for the impoliteness. The two waitresses who walked in were both wearing light green kimonos, very suitable for spring. They knelt by the table and laid out the dishes at a leisurely pace. Their movements were elegant. Every time a dish was laid out, One of them would gently introduce the origin of the dish. Abalone from Aizu, sweet melon soup from Shizuoka, fish from Lake Biwa in early spring, vegetables from a certain vegetable garden, lobsters from a certain place, and crabs from when they were caught. Their voices were soft and comfortable, just like rainwater hitting the blue tiles on a rainy day. When placing the chopsticks and towels, the waitresses would bend slightly, hold them with both hands, and respectfully place them in front of the two of them. Please enjoy. If you have any questions, please feel free to let us know. They bowed slightly, kneeled, and took a few steps back. Then they stood up and walked to the door. After leaving the room, they bowed again to the two of them before gently closing the door. The room returned to silence. Toru Watanabe looked at Miki Kujo in front of him. When will the geisha I ordered arrive? If she doesn't come soon, I'll be unhappy, he said with a smile. Miki Kujo glanced at him angrily, put down the chopsticks that she had just picked up, and turned to go into the bedroom. Toru Watanabe was left alone, but his heartbeat filled the entire room. After eating a mouthful of food, he put down his chopsticks again and picked up his tea to drink. He still wasn't satisfied, so he couldn't help but pour some sake. After drinking a few mouthfuls, his surging blood was slightly relieved. He began to eat the food one mouthful at a time. About 10 minutes later, Miki Kujo came out. She had her hair tied up behind her head with a hairpin. The kimono she was wearing was similar to what Toru Watanabe had worn before he took a shower. The bright red color and the geisha fan in her hand didn't look flirtatious on Miki Kujo at all. She walked slowly, her kimono skirt trailing slightly on the ground. It was a gorgeous sight. Under the bright yellow light in the room, she was like the most beautiful and noble woman in Big Oz. Toru Watanabe stared at her without blinking. Miki Kujo walked to his side and slowly knelt down. She picked up the wine glass and poured wine for Toru Watanabe with lowered eyes. At the same time, she said softly, "Master, what kind of dance would you like to see?" Toru Watanabe drank the wine in one gulp and controlled his emotions slightly. "Is there a dance where a woman can't sleep and misses a man?" "Yes," Miki Kujo answered softly. She put down the wine glass and got up gracefully. Toru Watanabe could only resist the urge to grab her slender waist and pull her into his arms by pouring wine for himself. Miki Kujo took a few steps back, pinched the hairpin between her index finger and thumb, and gently pulled it out. Her beautiful black hair cascaded down like flowing water. She opened the fan and sang as she danced. Black hair of black. Her voice was long and sorrowful, full of affection. Her figure was slender, and her dance was graceful. Her figure was graceful, coquettish, noble, and gorgeous. Occasionally, she would cover her face with her kimono sleeves and glance at Toru Watanabe with her beautiful eyes. "Come to my side." This was the first sentence Toru Watanabe said after watching the dance and listening to the song. Miki Kujo swayed her body like a red rose blown by the spring breeze. When she was almost in front of Toru Watanabe, she cried out and fell into Toru Watanabe's arms. Just as Toru Watanabe couldn't control himself and reached out to hold her in his arms, she pushed him away with both hands. "Master, I only dance and drink with you. I don't receive guests." She turned her head away slightly. The two of them were very close to each other. Because of the fall just now, her fragrant black hair was still on Toru Watanabe's chest. "Don't think about it. I just want to help Mississippi." As he said this, Toru Watanabe put his hand under her kimono skirt and kneaded her thigh through her white stockings. Miki Kujo pushed his chest with both hands to separate their bodies and shyly turned her face away. "Master, if you continue like this, I'm going back," she said in a childish tone. Okay, I won't touch you." Toru Watanabe raised his hands. Miki Kujo immediately smiled and said like a child, "Then I'll pour wine for master." Toru Watanabe drank the wine that Miki Kujo poured and asked, "Miss, where are you from?" "I Wait Prefecture." "Oh, that's a good place. I've been there." "Master, where are you from?" Miki Kujo picked up chopsticks for him with one hand and held under his chin with the other. Every time Toru Watanabe ate a mouthful of food, she would use her slender hands to pick up a towel and carefully wipe his mouth. "Tokyo. I've been there too." When rich people celebrate their birthdays, they even asked me to dance. Amazing. It seems that you're very famous? Of course, I've also danced for many foreigners. Oh. Hello, I'm Kyujo Miki. I'm very happy to dance for you. Chinese. Toru Watanabe nodded. Hello, I'm Miki Kujo from Hawaii, United States. Americans also watch Japanese dance. It's easy to cheat foreigners of their money. They don't know anything. Miki Kujo proudly raised her snow-white slender neck. So good? How old are you this year? 12 years old. Wait, let's change it. At least 14 years old? Miki Kujo giggled. I'm lying to you, I'm 14.5 years old. You actually dare to side with Master. Toru Watanabe grabbed her warm little hand. Oh no, I'll be scolded. Miki Kujo pretended to withdraw her hand. Just touch my hand. I really can't. Don't you like me? Annoying, this is the first time you've seen me. How can you say that you like me? I'm not such a frivolous person. But I fell in love with Miss at first sight. Toru Watanabe put his face close to her and sniffed her neck. Because of the itch, Miki Kujo let out a sweet and heart-stirring laugh. Finally, she panted slightly and used her slender white fingers to push away Toru Watanabe's sniffing face. Guessed if you continue like this, I really have to go back. Okay, then can't I touch your hand? Toru Watanabe sat back down. Miki Kujo didn't say anything and poured him wine with her free hand. After dinner, Toru Watanabe only touched her little hand and smelled the fragrance of her hair. I'll take my leave. Miki Kujo bowed slightly and was about to stand up. Toru Watanabe reached out and grabbed her. Look out the window. What? Miki Kujo was still playing the role of a little girl and looked out the window innocently. What's blue on the sea? Where's the blue? Why can't I see it? Miki Kujo got up and walked over, searching the dark sea. Although she was looking at the sea, her attention was all behind her. She really seemed to have become a geisha who had to rush back and couldn't stay the night to deal with a guest who was trying to eat her up. Her body tensed up slightly. She didn't know when Toru Watanabe wouldn't be able to control himself. Just then, Toru Watanabe's footsteps sounded behind her. He was slowly approaching. Should he stand beside her, or hug her from behind? Before she could finish her thought, a pair of arms circled around her from behind, like a big and soft net, catching her like a little bird. At that moment, in Miki Kujo's vision, the dark sea seemed to have really turned blue, and the bright yellow light in the room began to blur. In this blur, Toru Watanabe's face slowly came closer and kissed her gently on the lips. Miki Kujo retreated, but the more she struggled, the tighter Toru Watanabe held her. Their lips kissed, and she gradually became excited, and her face began to turn red. No, I have to go back. She finally turned her head to avoid Toru Watanabe's kiss. Toru Watanabe's face came closer again, and Miki Kujo was hugged tightly. She had nowhere to hide, so she could only keep her mouth shut. But those greedy lips didn't tease her anymore. Her hair was brushed aside, and something came close to her ear. Because she was afraid of being tickled, she curled up her body. Miki, I like you. The gentle whisper, mixed with the heat of his breath, tickled her earlobe and attacked her heart. Guest, I won't let you go. The man's words were already panting. Miki Kujo's body couldn't help but soften. Let me go. Ignoring her pleas, Toru Watanabe held her tightly and walked towards the tatami. I really can't, I have to go back. One of them wanted to leave, while the other was dragging her. Her kimono became more and more open, and when they entered the bedroom, her snow-white shoulders were completely exposed. Miki Kujo lay on the tatami, her hands crossed in front of her chest. She could only shake her head to avoid Toru Watanabe's kisses. No. Toru Watanabe searched for her lips, and reached into her skirt, and kneaded her thighs through her white stockings. She reached out to block him, and he took the opportunity to kiss her bare shoulders. She was about to lose control. Because she was avoiding the kiss, her hair became messy, and her forehead and neck were hot, and she was about to sweat. Just then, Toru Watanabe stopped all his actions. Miki Kujo lay on the tatami, her kimono in a mess. Toru Watanabe's hand was by her ear, and he looked down at her. The two of them were panting, and looked at each other quietly. In the next moment, Toru Watanabe suddenly hugged her even tighter than before. His hot breaths tickled her ear again. "Mickey, my Mickey, I want you." His deep, pleasant, persistent, and hoarse voice brought her an indescribable sense of comfort. Miki Kujo let go of her kimono, took away her right hand from her shoulder, and wrapped it around Toru Watanabe's neck. At the beginning of the battle, her kimono was still intact, and only her shoulders were slightly slipping. Halfway through, it was only with the help of the tightly tied belt that the kimono stayed on her body. When she was kneeling, the kimono appeared on the tatami in front of her. In the end, she was only left with white stockings. Toru Watanabe lay in bed, and Miki Kujo, brimming with satisfaction, snuggled in his arms. The atmosphere was quiet, comfortable, and peaceful. "Miki Nasen, you really know how to play." Toru Watanabe smiled and kissed Miki Kujo's forehead. "You still have a lot to learn." Miki Kujo closed her eyes in satisfaction and enjoyed his kiss. She was sweating, and a strand of hair that was messy from the passion stuck to her cheek, like a black line that was meticulously drawn with a paintbrush. Her eyes were gentle, and her face was flushed with the color of spring. Toru Watanabe looked at her and couldn't help but hug her even tighter. Miki Kujo leaned against his sturdy shoulder and listened to his long breaths. She felt the warmth of his skin, and her heart was filled with happiness. "School is about to start," Toru Watanabe said. Miki Kujo didn't open her mouth, and she replied with a lazy "mm." "I'm looking forward to changing shifts," Toru Watanabe said again. Shall we continue?" Then Miki Kujo came to her senses and refused with a Her rippling voice had a different kind of charm in this warm spring night. Toru Watanabe couldn't control himself even if he wanted to. The next morning, it rained in Aizu. The two were too lazy to go out, so they stayed in the hotel. Occasionally, they soaked in the hot spring in the rain, occasionally hugged each other and watched the raining sea, and occasionally hid in the bedroom. They couldn't see anyone in the bedroom, and could only hear voices. In the afternoon, the two of them boarded the Aizu Express and headed back to Tokyo with April. Chapter 237. The spring sun shone through the gaps between the leaves on the emerald green beech tree branches. On the school road, the male and female students who hadn't seen each other for 2 weeks during spring break were laughing and joking around with each other. A gust of wind blew from afar, and cherry blossoms danced in the air. Toru Watanabe waved his hand and swatted away the petals that were about to land on his shoulder. "You hate cherry blossoms? Trying to guess everything about others just by looking at the scene in front of you. That's arrogance. Change it, Kiyono-san." Toru Watanabe turned his head and looked at Rin Kiyono in the rain of cherry blossoms. The slope, the cherry blossom tree, the brand new uniform, the dappled sunlight, and her beautiful figure. The guys who rode their bicycles to school suddenly became cheerful. They were still ringing their bicycles arrogantly just a moment ago. Rin Kiyono smiled gently at him. Toru Watanabe was so scared that he felt a chill run down his spine. "I'm just talking nonsense. Don't take it seriously." He stuffed his hands into his pockets and walked up the slope. Rin Kiyono followed him. The two of them walked side by side. The cherry blossoms were blown up by the wind and swirled around them. "Speaking of which, did you choose liberal arts or science?" Toru Watanabe asked. "Science. Are you trying to tactfully express your infinite love for me?" Toru Watanabe stopped in his tracks. "You want to be in the same class as me? Or even the front and back tables?" Rin Kiyono also stopped in her tracks. She revealed a cold expression, but it made her look even more charming. Toru Watanabe spoke again. "Although you're indeed very beautiful, your hair smells nice, your skin is very white and delicate, and your waist is so thin that I want to hug you. Especially your legs, the two of us really." "Hey, I haven't finished speaking yet." Rin Kiyono's back was cold, and her long black hair swayed slightly in the spring breeze. This time, it was Toru Watanabe's turn to follow her. The two of them walked into the campus. The huge oak tree that was 25 meters tall had turned into a green hill in spring. After walking around the oak tree, they could see the bulletin board in the distance. It was packed with people. Most of the people who walked past them were discussing class assignments. Don't be assigned to Nagaoka's class. I heard that the original English teacher of class 3 was also very fierce. Super fierce. The first class of the semester would definitely start with 5 minutes of scolding. As for an English teacher, I think Mr. Koizumi is the best. No matter which teacher, I hope to be in the same class as Chuinjio. So you like him? I can't say that I like him. I just care about him a little. If he can be like Kuin Watanabe and confess to me in front of the whole school, I can reluctantly date him. Speaking of Kuin Watanabe, I really want to be in the same class as him. I also want to be confessed to by Kuin Watanabe in front of the whole school. At this time, Toru Watanabe and Rin Kiyono surpassed the 2 female students who were also about to become second-year students. Seeing Toru Watanabe, the 2 of them covered their mouths and embarrassedly leaned their heads together. They slowed down their pace and complained to each other that they didn't notice that Toru Watanabe was next to them. Changing classes is indeed a big deal for students. Toru Watanabe listened to the 2's discussion and said, "A responsible teacher, a close friend, although it's a bit exaggerated, it's indeed a turning point." Rin Kiyono looked at the crowded bulletin board in the distance. But with Kiyono-san's personality, no matter what class you're in, you'll be able to live well. A true powerhouse won't be bound by the environment and time. But if possible, I hope that you can be with people who are close to you. After the age of 4 and before the age of 16, Rin Kiyono didn't have any friends. She was alone in the classroom, alone in the club. She never ate crepes or ice cream with girls who were close to her after school. When Toru Watanabe came, he accompanied her through the club and after school, but she was still alone for longer periods of time in the classroom. Rin Kiyono rested her chin on her hand and said with a smile, "You like me? You want to be in the same class as me? How did you come to this conclusion? Aren't you the one who's close to me?" "I'm talking about Mickey. You two have a bad relationship, but you're still close, right?" Rin Kiyono's beautiful face showed a faint, charming smile. "You want to be in the same class as the 2 of us." Toru Watanabe imagined the scene. A girl came to talk to him, and Miki Kujo kicked him. He chatted with Rin Kiyono, and Miki Kujo, who was originally sleeping on the table, stared at him coldly from the crook of his arm. He chatted with Miki Kujo, and Rin Kiyono joined in. Then the 2 of them naturally quarreled, and he was targeted. That's definitely not the future I want. Toru Watanabe missed the first day of liberal arts. While chatting, the 2 of them came to the notice board. There was a list of names on it, and the names of each class's homeroom teachers and students were written on it. There were many people in front, and the 2 of them couldn't enter for the time being. A girl standing in front of them saw the 2 of them, and was about to move aside when Osamu Kunai squeezed out from the crowd. "Watanabe!" he shouted loudly. "The 3 of us are in the same class. Not bad." Toru Watanabe was also happy. "Your girlfriend is here too. Miki, do you have other girlfriends?" Osamu Kunai scolded first. Then he noticed Rin Kiyono beside Toru Watanabe. He chuckled and lowered his voice. "Kiyono classmate is here too, don't worry." What a disgusting smile, and also don't worry about what? I was just confirming. Wait. You said I'm in the same class as the 2 of them? Yes. This was definitely a covert operation. Could it be Miki Kujo? Or was it that flattering principal? If that was the case, Toru Watanabe could only hope that he could sit further away from the 2 of them. However, when he arrived at the second-year class 4 and found his assigned seat, Toru Watanabe wanted to quit school on the spot. There were 4 groups of seats. Rin Kiyono sat in the last seat of the 3rd group, and Miki Kujo sat in the last seat of the 4th group. The last seat where she wouldn't disturb others even if she slept. As for Toru Watanabe, he was known as the main character's seat. That is, Rin Kiyono's seat was on the left, and Miki Kujo's seat was directly in front. With this arrangement, Toru Watanabe couldn't help but imagine the scene of 2 beautiful girls wearing police uniforms, watching over him. "I'm in Hell," by Uchiha Obito. That's really interesting. Rin Kiyono's cute face had a smile that wasn't cute at all. "Don't you think I'm very pitiful?" Toru Watanabe said with a sigh. "Not at all." Sure enough, only people with deep friendship would say such words. Rin Kiyono was about to say something when a figure ran from the back door. Kiyono-san. Koen Watanabe. We're in the same class. Good morning, Itsuki classmate. Rin Kiyono politely and coldly greeted her. In Toru Watanabe's eyes, she was telling Aoi Ichiki. Even if they were in the same class, she didn't intend to be friends with her. Good morning, Kiyono-san. Aoi Ichiki's tone was cheerful. It seems that she wasn't a follower of Kiyono God, so she didn't understand God's will. In addition to her, there were many familiar faces in the classroom. Osamu Kunai, Keisuke Saito, the class leader who finally changed his glasses, and many members of the blowing club. Toru Watanabe roughly counted that there were about 10 people in the blowing club. In a class of 40 people, Rin Kiyono could command 10 people, and there must be more. She could almost rule the 4th class, right? The human observation department was really scary. After staying in the classroom for a little while, they immediately moved to the gymnasium to attend the opening ceremony. Miki Kujo didn't come today, but unlike last year, she didn't come to school until the first month of school. In the gymnasium, the newly enrolled first graders were lively and active, but they carefully observed the second and third graders. Toru Watanabe and Keisuke Saito chatted as they walked toward the second graders. Suddenly, a first grader shouted his name. Senpai. Watanabe senpai. A petite girl with short hair rushed over. Toru Watanabe and the other 3 looked at her. Senpai. Watanabe senpai. The little girl looked at Toru Watanabe excitedly. I passed and fulfilled my promise with senpai. Excuse me, may I ask who you are? Toru Watanabe's eyes were puzzled. Gungoe-di. After that, the girl pretended to laugh eerily and cutely. Maybe she was imitating Gungoe? Sorry, I like the iron shell. Senpai doesn't like Shinedu anymore. Who are you? How do you know that my ex-girlfriend is Shinedu? In that case, the girl spread her legs, straightened her right hand, and made a gesture of twisting a bottle cap. Let's celebrate. The King of Time is born. She gathers all the night's power in one body, transcends time and space, and knows the past and future. Transform. The girl's transformation was quite standard, and because she was a girl, she looked particularly cute. Ah. Toru Watanabe suddenly realized. I remember, you are Gungoe? Masked nighttime desu. The girl paused for a moment. Also Gungoe desu. On the stage, the leaders were already seated. Toru Watanabe said to the girl, Horikita-san, if you have something to say, we can talk about it in the performance department. Yes, senpai. After the girl left, the other 3 asked Toru Watanabe who she was. Is she your junior? Osamu Kunai guessed. How is that possible? Keisuke Saito denied. Watanabe is from Iwate Prefecture. Could it be a sister you met on the internet? The class leader said while pushing his glasses. Even if he changed his glasses, he couldn't seem to get rid of the habit of pushing his glasses. She watched my performance competition and admired my junior. Toru Watanabe explained in a tone that wouldn't cause any misunderstanding. I entered Koshien. Why doesn't anyone admire me? Osamu Kunai asked unwillingly. You only made it to Kashiyuan. The class leader said lightly. Don't look down on Koshien. Do you know that many girls fall in love with a person only because the school baseball team entered the finals of the regional tournament last year? Yes. No one cared whether the school baseball team entered the finals of the regional tournament or not. The opening ceremony was carried out step by step. Next is the school song chorus, Stand Up. The performance department played a slightly modern melody. For Valley Hills, the school where the crow flies, our alma mater, Kamigawa. Different from many high schools that didn't pay attention to the school song, everyone in Kamigawa had a deep sense of pride and took pride in singing the school song in various competitions. Because Kamigawa was the best private high school, a high school that didn't enter the Imperial University would be regarded as unqualified. The most typical example was the already graduated head of the performance department, Misaki Komatsu. In the national competition, even if Kamigawa entered the finals for the first time, she wouldn't allow the performance department to lose to those traditional performance schools. They were either very hardworking or very smart, and the rest were hardworking and smart. Kamigawa was such a disgusting school. After singing the school song, it was the freshman representative's speech. What Toru Watanabe didn't expect was that the freshman representative's name was Asaka Rika, Mai's half-sister. She inherited her parents' good genes, and was very cute. She was a little nervous as she read the speech. After the opening ceremony ended, everyone went back to their respective classes. Everyone returned to your seats. Aona Koizumi walked in with the name list. Woo! The boys from Year 1 Class 4 cheered. The girls were also in high spirits. Quiet. Aona Koizumi purposely put on a serious face. He didn't know before, but now Toru Watanabe guessed that she must have learned this from Huangzi. Yes. Towards Aona Koizumi, no one was in awe, but they all gave her face and answered loudly and in unison. I am Aona Koizumi, the teacher in charge of this class. From today onwards, I will take on the responsibility of guiding everyone. Woo! The boys changed their way of shouting. Everyone applauded. Koizumi Aonai held the podium with her hand. Her upper body quietly leaned forward, looking around at everyone. The classroom gradually quieted down. Toru Watanabe, who didn't put teacher Aona Koizumi's prestige in his eyes, suddenly realized that Aona Koizumi's chest under her professional suit was especially full and round. He didn't know how it felt to hold it from below. At this moment, he suddenly felt a cold gaze coming from behind him to his right. Are you kidding me? Seigo Rin was able to sense that as well. Is there any privacy left? Year 2 is a more relaxed period, but because of this, many people will think that there is still a lot of time, and it won't be too late to work harder in Year 3. It is this kind of mentality, this kind of time, is the crucial time for the candidates to widen the gap. Aona Koizumi tightened her beautiful oval face, and talked about a lot of crisis awareness, emphasizing the importance of Year 2. Toru Watanabe rested his face on his left hand and glanced behind him. Rin Kiyono's expression was cold, but she was seriously listening. After Aona Koizumi finished speaking, she began to take attendance. After taking attendance, she sent out the route survey form. The survey form will be submitted in a week. If you don't write anything, you will be called for a life talk. Today was the opening ceremony, so everything was basically over. For the rest of the time, most of the students could go home directly. The rest of the club members who needed to participate in the competition had to immediately start practicing, such as the blowing club, baseball club, soccer club, and track and field club. As for whether there were other clubs, Toru Watanabe couldn't directly see them like the other 3 sports clubs, and he also didn't know the specific situation like the blowing club. At this time, he stood at the door of the teacher's office, waiting for Aona Koizumi and Huangzi to come out. Then he and Miyuki Miyazaki would go back to the Shinano apartment for lunch. After a while, Aona Koizumi and Huangzi came out. Watanabe, let's go. Aona Koizumi said. Okay. The 3 of them went to the infirmary. Miyazaki should have already arranged the medicine and equipment. Ah. Huangzi yawned loudly. I'm so sleepy. She still hadn't adjusted her schedule from the holidays. Watanabe, Aona Koizumi said. This time, what are you going to write about the route survey? I guess it's a handsome Tokyo guy. Huangzi wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes. I'm now living the life of a handsome Tokyo guy, Toru Watanabe said. The life of a handsome Tokyo guy? What is it like? Aona Koizumi was slightly curious. Well, just as Toru Watanabe was struggling with whether or not to tell him about his life, the system that had not responded for a long time flashed. Temporary event. On April 2nd, 11:03, Aona Koizumi wants to know the life of a handsome Tokyo guy. Event content. Let Aona Koizumi fully understand the daily life of a handsome Tokyo guy. Event duration 1 month. Event reward. Based on Aona Koizumi's understanding. Accept/not. There was an additional accept/not. The system was patched? When did this happen? Forget it, this wasn't important. Toru Watanabe decided to accept the mission. Wasn't it to tell Aona Koizumi about Miyazaki? He had decided to do this a long time ago. Accept. Begin extraction. Integration. Extraction? Integration? Toru Watanabe rubbed his eyebrows and suddenly felt very sleepy. This was the first time he was so tired since he started training. Watanabe. What's wrong? This kid can't even open his eyes. He must have stayed up all night playing games. Aona Koizumi and Huang Zi's voices gradually faded away. The corridor of the school building became blurred and finally completely dark. Chapter 238. Miyuki, is Watanabe alright? Preliminary examination, everything is normal. But I heard that he suddenly fainted. Just to be safe, we should bring him to the hospital for a detailed examination later. Do you want to contact his parents? Aonai, don't be anxious. Let's wait for the examination first. If he's fine, wouldn't his parents be worried for nothing? Miyuki? Watanabe? Aonai, where is this? When he opened his eyes, he saw a roof that he had never seen before. It clearly didn't look special, but the lines and clean walls gave him a sense of luxury. The tip of his nose smelled like a hospital. The tip of his nose. What's going on? Did he take such a long breath in the past? Aona Koizumi subconsciously touched his throat. His skin was smooth, his neck was strong and slender, and his pinky finger touched his collarbone. But what did his index finger touch? A bulge? A tumor? No, that's not right. It's an Adam's apple. Along with the panic and shock, Aona Koizumi felt that something was wrong. His chest gone? Aona Koizumi patted his chest with both hands. The shirt's texture was fine and smooth, and the material was of high quality. But, the white rabbit that became super cute after entering high school was gone. Also, what was that strange feeling of discomfort between his legs that made his whole body tremble? Aona Koizumi pressed his left hand against his chest and reached out with his trembling right hand, slowly reaching into his pants. His hair, that was normal. But below that long, thick, soft, and warm, was that? During the girls' biology class, the teacher had introduced that thing, but wasn't that something that only men had? Let's see how he's doing first. When he wakes up, bring him to the hospital. The curtains were pulled open. Aona Koizumi, Huang Zi, and Miyazaki Miyuki, the three 25-year-old female teachers, were stunned. The scene in front of them. Toru Watanabe touched his chest with one hand and reached into his pants with the other. His expression was blank. SSSS. Aona Koizumi pulled the curtains shut again. This brat. Huang Zi's face quickly turned red, and he sounded a little anxious. How dare you listen to our voices and do that kind of thing? Listen to our voices. Aona Koizumi couldn't continue. Miyazaki Miyuki picked up the tissue box from her desk and threw it on the bed in dissatisfaction. Don't put it on my bed. That's right, we can't. No. Watanabe, you're not allowed to do that kind of thing in school. Aona Koizumi reacted and pulled the curtains open again. Aona Koizumi sat in the front passenger seat and looked at the unfamiliar scenery outside the window. The skylight was blocked by tall buildings. There were traffic lights everywhere, fashionable taxis, crowded overpasses, and all kinds of foreigners. The scenes before her eyes were too much for her to take in. Tokyo, one of the most prosperous cities in the world, #1 in all of Japan. Before he could finish looking, the car drove into the parking lot of an apartment building. Aona Koizumi couldn't wait to get out of the car and look up at the 10-story apartment. This is where I live. Aona Koizumi strangely repeated Toru Watanabe. What's wrong with you today? Did you not sleep well last night? Aona Koizumi remembered, now she is he. The boy's self-title, servant? Me. Self? Clumsy? It should be servant. Servant, I live here? Aona Koizumi asked again. Yes, what's wrong with you? Aona Koizumi asked worriedly. Nothing. Aona Koizumi reminded herself that she couldn't do anything too normal, or else she would wake up from the dream. This was the first time in her life that she had such a real and clear dream. She definitely couldn't let it end so easily. By the way, is this know your car? Aona Koizumi pointed at the car and said to Aona Koizumi. The person in front of her looked 70% to 80% similar to her. And her name was also Aona Koizumi. Her setting should be her after work. Not bad, not bad. Delicate eyebrows, eyelashes fluttering like butterfly wings, eyes as clear as a lake, neat black hair, seductive voice, lips that make people want to forcefully kiss. I should read more novels. Aona Koizumi looked up and down at Aona Koizumi, using all the words she could think of to describe her. There had never been a woman who would praise another person so sincerely. I wonder how much is his annual salary? Is there a boyfriend who is breathtaking, even forgetting to breathe for a moment? Casually joking with you. The corners of his eyes slightly raised, revealing a carefree expression. No one can guess what he is thinking in his heart. Aona Koizumi looked at Toru Watanabe's eyes that alternated between admiration and contemplation, and she frowned worriedly. Didn't I tell you before? This is the car that Ako and Miyuki bought together. What's wrong? My memory is bad, I forgot. Aona Koizumi looked at the two people who came down from the back seat, Ako Fujiki and Miyuki Miyazaki. Why did she dream of the two of them? Although they grew up in the same school, there was only one elementary school, one middle school, and one high school in town, but the three of them almost never interacted with each other. Forget it, since it was a dream, anything was possible. But why did she dream of becoming a boy? She even became a teacher and student with herself? Even living in the same apartment? Could it be that she had the legendary Narcissus syndrome? She wanted to fall in love with herself, hug, kiss, and do that? Aona Koizumi looked at herself in front of her. She really admired her, but at most they could only hug each other, any more and she would feel disgusted. Only after entering the first floor of the apartment did she regain her senses. Sure enough, it was a dream. She felt that her brain was a lot more flexible. She could even remember the Narcissus syndrome that she accidentally saw a long time ago. However, wasn't the lobby in front of her too luxurious? Spacious sofa, huge chandelier, and even a fountain and free coffee. Aona Koizumi really wanted to rush over and take a picture, to touch the smooth texture of the sofa, but in order to make the dream last longer, she restrained her impulse and obediently followed the other three upstairs. 5th floor, room 501. Aona Koizumi sat at the beautiful and fashionable dining table. Looking at the busy herself behind the counter, she felt very gratified. She was a good woman, even though she obviously didn't know how to do anything. Aonai, which university did you graduate from? Aonai. Ako Fujiki, who was watching a drama behind her, loudly repeated this name. Boy, are you crazy? Overindulgence? It doesn't look like it. Miyazaki Miyuki judged from a professional point of view. Aona Koizumi ignored these two people. Their relationship was not good. Why should she, her future self, cook? Aona Koizumi was tasting the saltiness of the miso soup. Wazita, I've said it many times in class. Wazita? The Wazita in Tokyo? Watanabe, what's wrong with you today? Do you want to go to the hospital? Aona Koizumi asked anxiously. But Toru Watanabe did not answer her question. He muttered something like, Wazita, I'm really daring. No, this is a dream. Even if it's Tokyo University, it doesn't matter, and other nonsense. During the meal, although Aona Koizumi still wanted to ask about the topic of love, she was afraid that it would cause the people in her dream to overreact like before, so she gave up. She still wanted to go outside and see. At least once, she wanted to go to Tokyo Tower, Disneyland, Ginza, Dome, Clear Sky Tower, Shinjuku Roppongi. If there's a God, please don't let me wake up. After finishing the meal, Aona Koizumi picked up her bag and prepared to go back to room 502 to check on her room. Before she left, she seemed to remember something and turned back to grin. She praised him. Aonai, it's delicious. The three of them looked at her in a daze, and Huangzi, who was wiping his mouth, stopped. The scene fell into silence. Oh no, am I going to wake up from my dream? Aona Koizumi hurried out of room 501. The corridor was clean and bright, and there was a window at the end of the corridor. The light from the window sprinkled on an unknown potted plant in the room. Time was stable, and the world was peaceful. Good she didn't wake up. Aona Koizumi opened room 502 with the key and said hesitantly, I'm back. No one answered. It seemed that there was no family setting. The layout of the room was similar to room 501, but the furniture looked more expensive. It was just that the aesthetics were terrible. She threw her bag at the entrance and ran straight to the balcony. There was a huge forest, a blue sky, and rows upon rows of tall buildings. A gust of wind blew, and his chest felt touched. Aona Koizumi used her hands as a loudspeaker and shouted, "Ah!" His voice was deep and resounding, and he shouted for a long time in one breath. After shouting, Aona Koizumi thought she was going to die, but after taking 2 deep breaths, her breathing immediately stabilized. Was this a dream? Too awesome! She became more and more excited. She ran back to the living room and sat down on the soft sofa. She touched it left and right. Although it was not aesthetically pleasing, it felt so comfortable to touch expensive things. Aona Koizumi put her feet on the low table in front of the sofa. The TV opposite her attracted her attention. In the luxurious apartment, among the expensive furniture, the television gave her a feeling that it was out of place and seemed cheap. Was her imagination not enough? After sitting for a while, Aona Koizumi patted the sofa twice and reluctantly got up. Although the apartment was good, she had to hurry. Thinking about whether to go to Ginza or Shibuya first, she went to the bedroom and prepared to change her clothes. It was an exaggeratedly large white bed. Aona Koizumi didn't have time to think. When she came back to her senses, her body was already lying on the bed. Even if it was a dream, it was too exaggerated. It was too soft, and it tasted great. No, I'm going to be killed. She was just about to go out to play, but in the blink of an eye, she was rolling on the bed for 5 minutes. This was not enough. Aona Koizumi really didn't want to leave the bed. She wrapped herself in the quilt and lay motionless on the bed. After a while, she searched her pockets and took out a mobile phone. After studying how to use it, she carefully unlocked it with her fingerprint according to the instructions. Amazing, I've always been using a flip phone. I've only heard of fingerprint unlocking, but I didn't expect it to be possible in a dream. After repeatedly unlocking the phone 3 times, she began to browse the apps in the phone. Apart from the usual ones, she only knew Line, so she subconsciously opened it. The chat history was blank. There were a few people on the contact list, but not many. She randomly found a girl's name, clicked on it, thought for a while and typed hello. What's the matter? Aona Koizumi sat cross-legged on the bed, wrapped in the quilt. Are you Miss Kiyono? Yes. Yes. Can you give me a picture of you? Yes. After waiting for a while, there was no reply. It seems that the people in line only know the simplest replies, but that's already amazing. She closed Line and chose another app to play. What app is this? Amazon? I can even buy things? Aona Koizumi adjusted her posture, lying on the bed, holding the pillow in her arms and kicking her legs. Do you have money? Let's try it. She searched for a TV and randomly chose one. Sauna's 9D, 100 inches, 258 meters long, 393 meters wide, 504 meters thick. Including tax, the total price is 5 million yen. She was still prompted to pay with her fingerprint. Aona Koizumi stared at the price on the screen without blinking. Then, she carefully put her hand on the screen. She rotated it twice, and the payment was successful. Amazing, amazing. Aona Koizumi threw the phone away, buried her face in the pillow, and shouted desperately, kicking the air with her legs. She panted slightly, calmed herself down, and immediately picked up the phone. Household 60,000 yuan floor lamp. By payment was successful. Haha. Jewelry 160,000 yuan necklace. By payment was successful. Aona Koizumi sat up with a whoosh. Buy. Top 50 sales. Buy all of them. Half an hour later, Aona Koizumi lay on the bed satisfied. She felt that even if this Tokyo dream ended here, she had no regrets. Hehehe. She was extremely satisfied, and her mouth unconsciously let out a laugh. She fell asleep. In the next moment he opened his eyes. Toru Watanabe looked at his messy bed and the blanket on the floor. Just now he saw everything that Aona Koizumi did. Before he had time to complain about the system, He immediately remembered that the event would last for a month. If this continued, just a smile would be enough to cause a lot of trouble. He had to let the second-year Koizumi know the seriousness of the situation. At the very least, she could not simply smile. Also, she could not simply ask for photos. With this thought, Toru Watanabe prepared to leave a message on his phone and write down the things he should take note of. But just as he picked up the phone, a strong sense of sleepiness came over him again. It's over. Toru Watanabe's body shook twice, and she opened her eyes. Oh no. I almost woke up from laughing. Aona Koizumi touched the phone, but did not continue to indulge in the fake shopping. She decided to seize the time and walk around Tokyo. First, change clothes for boys. It's okay, it's a dream. It's a dream. It's a dream. After mentally preparing herself, Aona Koizumi got out of bed and opened the closet. What appeared in front of her was not clothes, but a small rectangular room. The lights were bright, and there were 2 rows on the left and right, all kinds of clothes. On the closet, there were belts, buttons, watches, and other items. Aona Koizumi opened her mouth in surprise as she walked into this dreamlike country. Her hand brushed over one piece of clothing after another, and each one was brand new. At the end, there was a full-body mirror. For the first time, Aona Koizumi saw herself in her dream. It was perfectly in line with her own requirements of looking stunning, even forgetting to breathe for a moment, and casually joking with you. The corners of her eyes are slightly raised, revealing a sense of carefreeness, and no one can guess what she is thinking. So handsome. I like you. I like you. Muamua. Aona Koizumi pouted, and kissed the mirror desperately. Unconsciously, she almost stuck out her tongue. But just as she was about to stick it out and lick the mirror, she suddenly woke up. No, this kind of good thing should be done by the future me. Chapter 239. This body would only appear in his dreams. White shirt, black trousers, too tempting. Aona Koizumi uncontrollably swallowed her saliva, slightly unbuttoned the shirt collar, lowered her head and peeked inside. After a while, she guiltily closed the door of the dressing room. About an hour later, Aona Koizumi changed her clothes and walked out of the dressing room. Too real, too amazing. Leaning against the door of the dressing room, she lowered her head and whispered with her red face in her hands. Then she patted her face twice. Aonai, even in a dream you can't do that kind of thing. She took a deep breath, sorted out her emotions, threw herself on the bed, and picked up the phone and wallet that she had just thrown on the bed. Tokyo, I'm coming. Standing outside the apartment building, Aona Koizumi covered her forehead with her hand and looked into the distance. Wires stretched across the vast sky. 50-story buildings could be seen everywhere, and the glass on the higher floors reflected the charming light. Aona Koizumi put down her hand and excitedly walked into Tokyo in early April. After walking for only 2 minutes, before she even saw a movie theater, a large shopping mall, or a clothing and shoe store, her attention was attracted by a coffee shop. Looking in from the wall-like display window, she saw a wooden table, a leisurely sofa, and exquisite potted plants. It was simply like the place where the male and female lead first met in a movie. She tiptoed and pushed the door open to enter. Welcome. The exquisitely made-up waitress slightly bowed to her. Aona Koizumi looked at the waitress. The composition was very delicate, and there was no blur in it. Amazing. Even a random coffee shop can be so clear. Thinking about whether or not she could write a novel about Aonai in Tokyo, she followed the waitress to the window seat. The sofa was very comfortable, and the sunlight outside the window just happened to reach here. On the wooden table, there was a delicate bamboo basket with sugar and other things in it, and the atmosphere was very fashionable. What would you like? The waitress asked. Aona Koizumi thought about it. She originally wanted to learn from the Tokyo people and order, but her mind was empty, so in the end she picked up the menu. On the menu, every type of coffee looked delicious, and every type of dessert looked delicious. After hesitating for a while, she said, "Please give me a cup of mixed coffee, and also, macarons caramel pudding." "Okay, please wait a moment." "Thank you." Aona Koizumi smiled expectantly. She patted the armrest of the sofa and bent over to pick up the sugar jar. When she opened the lid and looked inside, she noticed that the waitress was still standing beside her in a daze. Stuck. Koizumi Aonai was slightly disappointed. Dreams really have their limits. The waitress came back to Tokyo. The waitress, with red ears. She quickly left. You're back again? Koizumi Aonai looked strangely at her back as she walked away. Forget it. Her expression returned to normal. Humming a song, she took out her phone and took a selfie. She photoshopped a pink heart on the photo and sent it to herself. Herself replied, "What's the matter? Do you like it? What nonsense are you talking about? Teacher is going to be angry. Teacher is going to be angry. Teasing me seems very interesting." Aona Koizumi tilted her head slightly, took a picture of the side of her face, and sent it over. In this picture, there was a charming and cold side profile, a sexy jawline, a sexy Adam's apple, and a sexy curve of her collarbone. It would definitely tempt her heart. Who asked her to know her likes and dislikes the best? She had licked his collarbone just now. Nothing at all. Her fingers pressed on the virtual keyboard awkwardly, and she typed a sentence. Teacher, my neck is itchy, can you help me take a look? After a long while, the other party finally replied with a message. I can't see anything wrong, don't worry. Hypocrite, you must have zoomed in on it for a long time and saved it. Aona Koizumi said with disdain. Just as she was about to expose her true identity, two fashionably dressed girls in the shop walked over. The girl wearing a thin pink sweater said, May I know your name? Aona Koizumi was stunned. Hit on me? This is hitting on me? Tokyo is really Tokyo. Of course. She revealed a bright smile. My name is... What's her name again? She only knew that her surname was Watanabe. As soon as the question came up, her brain automatically gave her the answer. When her working self drove back to the apartment, there was only one person with the surname Watanabe in the class of 40 people. Asama Tabuya, Ishikawa Kinai, Wada Yasuhisa, Toru Watanabe. My name is Toru Watanabe. Aona Koizumi didn't think that it was because of her excellent memory. At that time, she was sitting in the front passenger seat and only glanced at it out of curiosity. How could she remember it? This must be the self-improvement of the dream world. The two girls stood there in a daze, just like the waitress. Again? It seems that talking to people will overload the dream world. It's better to talk less. At this time, the waitress brought coffee and desserts. The two girls came back to their senses and asked Aona Koizumi for a line, but she ignored them. If the dream world collapsed because of talking and she didn't get to eat the desserts in front of her, she would be sad for the whole day on the first day of class tomorrow. She happily and blissfully focused on eating the desserts. When she came back to her senses, the two girls were already gone. When she came out of the coffee shop, the color of dusk had already appeared on the horizon. Aona Koizumi took the time to visit all kinds of shops. There were weird Russian doll stores, exquisite handmade grocery stores, trendy clothing stores. Unfortunately, she could only go to men's clothing stores. There was also a French dessert shop with fragrant aroma on the street. At night, she went to the Tokyo Tower, saw One Piece theme park, and bought souvenirs of the Tokyo Tower. But, in the Tokyo Tower, she couldn't see the Tokyo Tower at night. Without the Tokyo Tower, what kind of Tokyo's night scene was it? She went to Roppongi Mound. She didn't take a shower, nor did she take off her clothes. When she was lying on the super big white bed, she was so satisfied that she could die without regrets. I have to go to school after waking up from the dream. I want to continue sleeping. She closed her eyes and forced herself to stay awake. She took out her phone to wake herself up. Today I took a lot of photos, let's enjoy them. Aona Koizumi opened the photo album on her phone. The first page of the album was filled with all kinds of photos she took today. The Tokyo Tower, the gorgeous night scene, the fast-passing sports car, the Russian doll, the desserts, the hat shop. What's this? This was a completely familiar photo, and it was an extremely beautiful girl wearing a kimono. Her black hair was long and straight, making her envious. As he scrolled forward, he saw another unfamiliar photo. 2 pairs of feet? Soaking in a hot spring? Is that a hot spring or a stream? It's steaming, so it should be a hot spring. In the third photo, this body was hugging the kimono girl from earlier. The background was blooming peach blossoms. So he has a girlfriend. I'm so envious of this girl. She has such a handsome and rich boyfriend. In a daze, she seemed to have scrolled through 2 more photos, but her mind couldn't form a clear picture. The phone slipped from her hand. She fell asleep. Toru Watanabe didn't wake up. April 3rd, early in the morning before the sun rose. Aona Koizumi had a dream, a very, very long dream. It was a dream that made her so shy that she wanted to wake up immediately, but she couldn't control herself. In the dream, she somehow became Watanabe. She touched his body all over, and even kissed him crazily in the mirror. In the end, when she woke up, she sat on the bed blankly for a while. She immediately took her clothes and went to the bathroom to take a shower. The bathroom was foggy, and the water flowed down along her seductive curves. Aona Koizumi covered her face with both hands. She thought she was crazy to have such a dream. It was all the fault of the photos that Watanabe suddenly sent her yesterday. That kind of photo was too much. It was just like what she said in the dream when she controlled Toru Watanabe's body. Everything was on point. Wait. Aona Koizumi let go of her hand. The hot water flowed down her wet hair to her temples. The eyes in the middle of her temples were confused and had a hint of panic. Sending the photos, was it a dream, or did it really happen yesterday? Toru Watanabe opened his eyes and saw the bright morning light shining through the curtains. New information. After midnight, even if the 16-year-old Aona Koizumi went back, he wouldn't wake up. He had to hurry. He took his phone and sent a message to Rin Kiyono. Now he could only rely on Do-La-A to prevent Koizumi Aonai from being exposed. Only then would he have a slight chance of hiding it from Kujio Meiji. Just as Toru Watanabe finished typing the message and was about to send it, a red warning suddenly appeared in front of his eyes. Hint. For the sake of the player's gaming experience, deliberate disclosure of information is prohibited. My gaming experience is... No swearing, I won't swearing. Toru Watanabe fell on the bed. He held his forehead and closed his eyes. Thinking about it carefully, from the water of Imperial Tea incident to the Tokyo handsome guy, without any explanation, the system should have already predicted this. He could let others rely on him, but he couldn't rely on anyone or anything. He could only rely on himself. Toru Watanabe was about to send a message to Miki Kujo, but after thinking about it, he changed it to a phone call. The phone rang for a while. Toru Toru. Do you know what time it is? The question was asked, but the tone was calm. There wasn't any intention to ask, but it was filled with anger. Miki Kujo really didn't wake up. If he sent a message and received a reply, Toru Watanabe would no longer be Toru Watanabe, but Aona Koizumi. Miki, when are you coming to class? What's up? I miss you a little. Next week. A week later, Toru Watanabe breathed a sigh of relief. With Kiyono's ability, even if Year 2 Aona Koizumi became Toru Watanabe was unreasonable. A week should be enough for her to notice that something was wrong. As long as she noticed that something was wrong, then he wouldn't reveal it. At that time, he could ask her to help take care of Aona Koizumi, who was lecherous, likes to spend money, and doesn't have a normal brain. Make Aona Koizumi stop laughing. Don't talk to girls so casually. Teach her how to act as Toru Watanabe. But, what if Rin Kiyono thought that he was just fooling around? Or even if she noticed something was wrong? She wouldn't believe it. He only had a week. When Miki Kujo came back, Aona Koizumi would be fine, but what would happen to Aona Koizumi next door? At that time, if he wasn't there, who could stop Miki Kujo? All of his methods were restricted by the system. Now he could only believe in God. Toru Watanabe got up to take a shower. When he took off his clothes, he remembered what Aona Koizumi did to his body yesterday. When Aona Koizumi was young, she was actually that kind of girl. He remembered that she said that she started to work hard in her second year of high school, and finally got into Waseda University. It took 10 years for Aona Koizumi to become the gentle Aona Koizumi. Toru Watanabe didn't find it strange, but what happened that made Aona Koizumi suddenly study hard and get into Waseda University? Was it because of this? Then why doesn't Aona Koizumi have any memory of this? While he was thinking, Toru Watanabe took a shower and changed into his school uniform. Since he couldn't leak the news, he gave up the idea of looking for Aona Koizumi and went to school alone. On the way, he refunded all the things that Aona Koizumi bought. It had nothing to do with the money, mainly because they were useless. For example, foot care cream, no fragrance, suitable for feet, suitable for very dry skin, 3 ounces. What was he going to do with it? He liked feet, but they were Kiyono, Mickey and Mai's feet. That kind of natural beauty didn't need any skincare products. They took the same main force line, climbed the same hill at the same speed, and greeted the teachers and classmates in the same way. During the morning class meeting, Toru Watanabe noticed that Aona Koizumi's gaze always avoided him, but when he looked away, she would look at him again. If she didn't remember, it must be because of the photos in the infirmary yesterday. He didn't think that Aona Koizumi would like that, but the infirmary. Toru Watanabe wanted to die. After the morning class meeting, there was a 10-minute break. Toru Watanabe subconsciously turned around and looked at Rin Kiyono behind him. She was reading a book, Umaran Grass by Natsume Soseki. Looking at Rin Kiyono, who was close by, Toru Watanabe thought about how she would be in the same class as him for the next year. He didn't know why, but he felt happy. There was also Miki Kujo. How many things would happen between the 3 of them? Quarreling during class? Scolding each other with notes in class? He even stood up, crossed his arms, and argued in front of the teacher who was in class? If that happened, he could only step forward to stop the fight and apologize. The more he thought about it, the more he looked forward to it. He clearly rejected it yesterday, but today he felt a little happy. However, that was on the premise that he safely passed April. Koen Watanabe? Koen Watanabe. What's the matter? Toru Watanabe looked at Aoyachiki, who was sitting in front of Rin Kiyono. If you keep staring at Kiyono, your eyes will fall to the ground. Osamu Kanai, who was sitting in the first group, mocked. Who's looking at her? I'm thinking about something. Kanai, let me tell you, friends are friends, but you can't just slander me. He's anxious. Watanabe is anxious. Keisuke Saito, who was sitting in the middle of the second group, stood up and pointed at Toru Watanabe. Toru Watanabe also stood up and walked towards the 2. He clenched his left hand into a fist and cracked his knuckles with his right hand. He hit someone. Watanabe is angry. Watanabe is peeking at Kiyono. It was the first day of school, and the people in the class were not familiar with each other. But when they saw the 3 of them, they all laughed. Rin Kiyono looked up from her book and glanced at Toru Watanabe, who was bullying a male student, and the corner of her mouth raised into a smile. The first class, physics. Tetsumasa Watanabe was reviewing Coulomb's law with the teacher. Suddenly, he felt sleepy, and the pen in his hand drew a zigzag arc on the notebook. Here it comes again. Aona Koizumi blinked. The dream will continue? The teacher stopped teaching, and everyone in the classroom looked over. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.